And we're back. I believe sound should be working now. Obviously, one setting was off, and that'll ruin the whole thing. So we're doing try number 2 here. Let me know when you hear it, but I want to continue on anyway. What I was trying to say earlier was, don't forget we do have this show on our podcast. You can download that on our website. Just go to the footer and click podcast. And also we have the Aquarius podcast. So it gets you, at least a few hours of content per week. If you're back to work and that kind of stuff. So a lot of new changes. We've been working on a crazy amount of projects. If you're a member, you have gotten an access to see a bunch of that stuff. Some stuff is still months out, but you're getting a sneak peek. And then there's other things that are already done and coming out that maybe you're not aware of yet, but you'll probably learn about that today. Today is mostly going to be a Q&A. I also said that I think for now anyway, we're going to treat live streams kind of when I can do it. That seems to be Wednesdays, works out okay. Thursdays, there's too many plant and fish shipments and stuff like that. I was missing too many of them. And this is the second week in a row that I've been back at it, and it looks like next week will be open as well. So we're going to try to keep doing it on Wednesdays or another day, whatever day works. I figure fit it in instead of just missing it. The rigid schedule's not working out. Kind of with COVID and just other stuff going on. There's too many monkey wrenches getting thrown into the business that have to be attended to, and unfortunately that makes it hard to do the live streams. So what else did I cover in the silence? Oh yes, so you might have noticed we've gotten another video from Irene yesterday, and she's covering more topics that are like informational, I guess. It's topics that I've always meant to get done, but I don't find the time to do. And so we thought, why not just put out more content? And that's what we're doing. And so it's not going to be every week. Like, we're going to miss next week, and maybe the next week after that. I've already bought a camera and a microphone to improve our audio. The camera was fine, or the video was fine. We just needed to improve the audio, and it made sense to upgrade it all at the same time to match what we do here. And so I hope you guys treat it as a value added and not a replacement thing. Like, I'm still doing live streams, still doing my Sunday videos, still doing members only content. And, will I make more videos in the future? Maybe. It gets a lot easier to make it when I can travel the world and show you guys cool things, or when Universal Rocks gets their stuff together. Here we are a week later, still don't have my stuff from Universal Rocks. It's technically closer. It made it one state closer. It's in Colorado now from Texas. So, the deadline, they said, you'll have, their website and everything said 14 business days in the fine print, by the way, on top of 48-hour processing. Well, that was like 2 days ago. So here we are, just waiting to keep moving on. You can see the water, actually, right there. It's actually pretty murky because Universal Rock stuff, it's got a chemical on it. It sloughs off so much and looks terrible. But we're still moving forward anywhere we can. We've got fish quarantining in the fish room for the 800-gallon reveal. And you probably won't see a whole lot of videos coming out about the fish room and the 800-gallon until it's done. I just want it to look good, and we're doing so many changes. I don't want to undersell it and be like, well, right now it looks terrible, but bear with me. It'll look better in the future. I'd rather just cut all that out and show you when it looks good. As a YouTuber, you kind of progress. And 5 years ago would have been like, let's make redoing the 800-gallon 20 videos. Instead, it's going to be like one of like, hey, we redid the 800-gallon. Looks awesome now, right? Cool. Move on. Let's teach. Let's do things of substance. So that's what we're doing. And so right now there's going to be a lull because COVID's flaring back up in our state and getting worse again. And, we're going to do what we got to do. Fish Tank Barn, give me $5. Thank you, buddy. Got the Artemia blender today, or not today, but hatched the first brine. Yes, this contraption right here is a winner. Unfortunately, we're sold out. And I asked Randy in a meeting yesterday, how long till we get more? And his response was, I'm pretty sure we sold more than the company's ever sold ever. So they didn't have any more ready to go. So they're manufacturing more. And I believe they get on a boat on Friday, which means we're probably at least 4 weeks out from having more. So Well, that sucks. But, you know, it's the middle of summer and we're getting more. We're ordering more this time. Like, don't worry. Like, but I was honestly afraid if we'd sell enough of them, and they're also expensive. Like, investing money into something like this is dangerous for us because at the time, you got to kind of think ahead on this, or I had to think ahead. When we placed the order for these, COVID was still new. We might have had to shut down the warehouse and all that, and so investing money into like a pallet of these things was kind of risque. Now we kind of know we're still going to get to operate, and we can order some more, and so we can feather that. And we got some, you know, you guys love it, right? So it's always a weird thing when I love it, Randy loves it, Dean loves it, but then if you're not a hardcore breeder, maybe you hate it, right? And like, oh, geez, we guessed the market wrong on that. So, you know, good news is it's a great product. People are loving it. Yes, there's a video to come. If you're part of the members only thing, you know why it's being delayed. But basically, we're doing our own brine shrimp eggs, and we want to do our own salt. And when those things are done, which we've got some prototypes already like on the way, I can then put the video together. Because it just from a marketing standpoint, doesn't make sense to be like, here's our competitor. I'm using that in this display when I can just show you what we use. And we found that to be true. You know, now we've been on YouTube for like 5 years. A video from 5 years ago where you used a product you don't use anymore, people are like, well, why don't you sell it? Why don't you? And you're like, well, because now we do our own. Like sponge filter is a great example. Well, you don't sell a sponge filter anymore. Like, no, because we made our own, we made it better. But I want the one in the video. Like, well, yes, but like we made it better. So you actually want this better one, you just don't know it. So that's kind of the thing we're running into. And so that's where the lag is. And we made a decision. The decision was don't roll anything out until like September 1st, or start providing these products and that kind of stuff earlier, knowing that we won't have the Aquarium Co-Op rollout with all the videos and all the stuff we normally would do until September. And we just thought, you know, people are stuck at home. Let's give them something to do. Learn how to hatch brine shrimp. So thank you for becoming new members. By the way, as a side tangent, the member stuff has been awesome lately. Being stuck at home and working in the fish room, I'm doing a lot of stuff with that. Nothing crazy. Like one of the examples I'll give you, just because I don't want to oversell it. Like keep in mind, we're only talking about $5 here, so it's not like it's amazing. But like you would have seen these new stickers yesterday. That's right, one day ahead of this live stream. You would see that these 2 new stickers exist. Wow, that is horrible glare. There we go. So you got the Corridora and the Stingray. Yes, will these also be randomly inserted into shipments? Yes, they will. So you could have a chance of getting some of these. Or you can buy them for like $4. They're not cheap, but they're good. That's the thing. I want it so that you cherish it and not just like, yeah, I got a sticker, you know, and like you throw it off into the junk drawer. It's something where it's actually pretty cool, but that costs us money, unfortunately. So, you know. Ooh, I got a confirmation. So another big announcement that was in the works. Like you guys, if you're on the live streams, you've been, hear me say, like, I've been working on a bunch of big things. Now some of the cat's out of the bag, and that is Jimmy's actually moving back to Washington. So, we made him an offer. He accepted the offer. He's coming back. What does that mean for you guys? That means Jimmy's back. He's going to film more stuff. It means it enables me to have more time to film more stuff. It means he can do more stuff with Dean. And just in general, more videos in better quality. Because I got to be honest, shooting a video is one thing, and there's another thing to take in the camera, which this is a very small camera, but nevertheless, taking a camera and then shooting B-roll for 2 hours to get 30 seconds of awesome footage to show you guys. So everything will upgrade on that point, and in general, something like that snafu we had at the beginning where my sound didn't work, well, we got Jimmy for that. Whew, good, right? So that'll be great, and with that comes his girlfriend, Lizzie. You may have met Lizzie at like Aquashellas and stuff. She's worked in our booth at the Aquarium Co-op, and you may have seen her channel, her YouTube channel, or in Jimmy's videos. So she's going to come on and work as a project manager or a program manager. And some of the programs that I have kind of already earmarked to start working on would be some philanthropy stuff, so giving back to local clubs. So we get hit up all the time by clubs of like, can you donate stuff? And the answer is like, yes, we can, but it's the execution of that of like, oh yeah, I have to remember that this club asked and we got to do this and do that. And so we're going to try to make an actual program where there's a way to submit, a way to verify it's a legit club, keep track of when we sent stuff last, and make sure it's a working unit as opposed to, didn't I speak there last year? Or no, that was 3 years ago. Okay. Didn't I send you something? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. We can track it all. So that's one of the programs. So reaching out with philanthropy, that's a good thing. The other thing is, I'm going to have her kind of spearhead some of the membership stuff. Now, what does that mean? That just means that we'll make sure that we're getting videos made. We're making sure that some of the big projects we're going to do for members, which I don't want to spoil it, but like there's lots of meetings been going on. Like, what do we do with memberships, and how do we give value and make sure all that kind of stuff happens? And all of it boiled down to every time the conversation, like, that's all great, but who's going to manage it? Who's going to see this through? You know, like, yes, I can do that part, but who's going to see it through? Who's going to make sure, like, one idea we thought out of, like, okay, so if we go to Aquashella, maybe there's, like, one of the nights it's, like, an ice cream social if you're a member, right? Like, it's nothing, like, crazy, because we normally do ice cream socials anyway, of, like, if you're hanging around after an event, let's go get ice cream. But maybe one of the nights is, instead of it being like 40 people, it's like, oh, cool, there was 5 members, and then like my staff, and we just went and got ice cream. So it was like you get a little more access, which I fully admit is dumb, because the fact that like getting access to me, being that I am me, sounds super weird. You know, like I'm just a dude that keeps some aquariums. So, but that kind of stuff, forward thinking, how do we, you know, and have her manage where we're going to go speak, how long's it been since we've been there, that all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of other projects too that I don't have for sure, but those are kind of 2 of them that I think are tangible to kind of the YouTube people, right? So both of them are coming over. So yeah, we're gaining an employee and bringing Jimmy back home, as I call it, so we can really get some good stuff going again. Because some stuff just isn't attainable without Jimmy being here. There's an artistic eye to it. You need 7 cameras to pull this video off, all of that kind of stuff. And, yeah, I mean, if Dean and I are both in the 800-gallon working on something, there's no one to hold a camera. So that's a perfect example of, you can set up a tripod, and then when you go back and review the footage, you're like, that's 42 minutes of looking at Corey's butt, because it doesn't move, right? You can't get the angle. So, you know, Jimmy will save you from me, my butt. Well, thank you to all the new members. I know, like, the hype train's real or whatever, but they're, you know, to quote someone that signed up recently, they said, like, I can't believe how much stuff I was missing. And my response to that would be, it's been a good month to be a member. I could totally get super lazy next month, and you're like, I only got 2 pictures. That was kind of dumb. But overall, you know, some of you guys are hitting that, like, 2-year mark now. Yeah, I think it's over time getting bigger and better. And YouTube enables us to do that. And here's what I know. I want to do a poll. I'm going to try to do a poll real quick. Let's see. Well, let me change these. Oh, yeah. So I talked with YouTube last time. And they finally got my account. Actually, I'm going to hit the button. This could break it. I'm going to hit the button. Oh, I got to add a question mark there. There we go. Don't know what it's going to do. Whoa, okay. There we go. I'm going to get rid of this, buy this t-shirt kind of thing. This t-shirt is cool, but all the votes are coming in real time. 33 votes so far. This is going to be awesome. I don't know what we're going to use this. We're going to try and use it for good, not for evil. But this is cool to watch that go real time while we're doing some stuff. So if you're on the podcast, you don't know what's going on. I apologize, but I'm making people vote between Team Snickers and Team Reese's. Who is going to be the winner? Is chat going to come back to the website? No. Well, at least not in any form we've tested. We'd have to test it in a new form. the form we had was crazy labor intensive, and it wasn't working. And there was, I don't want to like say all the problems because that helps people exploit the problems, but there was some problems with it. Like, okay, we got to rectify that before we could even give it another attempt. So, all right. Ooh, good. We got a question coming in, which I'm sure there's lots of questions, but this one has to be a super chat because I like to stop talking about what we're doing and start helping people. So I bought 2 mollies yesterday. I think one of them was pregnant. She's hiding behind the hang-on back filter. What should I do, if anything? Feed really well. Wait for me to sneeze because I'm about to sneeze. And then, but mostly just some TLC. Make sure you got some pH that's relatively high, some hardness in the water. Cover for the fry when she does have it. Or have the babies, but good food. And what I typically do is, if you know you're gonna have babies, crush up flake or live baby brine or frozen, and I almost start like pre-feeding. Like if I know there's gonna be babies in a few days, like start putting it in there, because usually you don't spot it the first day, and you want them to get their meal kind of that first day. It's not like 4 days later where they were starving, because what happens is, you get these fry, let's say they're like, boom, here's 30 fry. Well, at the beginning, you got 30 fry. But maybe 3 or 4 hours later, they're like, wow, I'm a little baby and I'm starving. I got to go out and find food. And that's the stage where it goes, oh, I found the hang-on back. Oh, no, I died. Or, oh, here it is. And then, like, Mr. Bolivian Ram's like, oh, you're food. I'm going to eat you. But if you're already feeding small bits of food, it's going to fall into all the nooks and crannies and Java moss or whatever you got going on, and be there, so they only gotta just like go a small amount and get it. So that's where I like to start, like for lack of a better term, pre-seeding the tank with all that little infusory and little bits of food, so they don't have to. You'll get higher yields if there's an abundance of food around for them. Have I ever kept Cracodon lateralis, the rainbow goodied? Yes, but mostly only the red form. So Greg Sage has a really nice Cracodon lateralis red form. I found it to be very temperature sensitive, so it died in the summer for me. And what that means is, like, my temperature got to like 74-ish, and they started dying off on me. And it was, I don't have AC in this building, and so yeah, you can float water bottles that are frozen and you can do things, but if it's 95 degrees every day and you're trying your darndest to cool it down, it's a hard fight. And if I was going to do it again, I'd have them almost sitting on the ground. I would build a better contingency plan. Like right now, I actually have a small little portable AC unit. I'd be real tempted to like set that up next to that tank. But yes, it's a fun fish. They don't produce a whole lot. Like I much prefer the trout goodied. They look different, obviously, but they're a lot more tolerant of temperatures. So I've got several redfin shiners, trying to get them to breed. Any tips? I haven't spawned redfin shiners myself, but like rainbow shiners, the best way I know is you get a Tupperware bowl, and you either fill it with marbles or like pea gravel. So you get that there. Then you're going to put that in a tank, and you're going to put a power head over here so that the water's blowing over it, so you get a current going over it. And usually shiners like to spawn in the current. Their thought is they spawn and they fertilize, and the current will carry the eggs and disperse them throughout the gravel, and they'll go into the nooks and crannies, and then predators won't be able to get to it. Now, that works great in the wild, except you need to harvest them, because if they just hatch out in that tank, once they go to find food, like we just talked about those mollies, guess what? Yomp, they're going to get eaten. So you kind of leave it in there for maybe 4 or 5 days, let those eggs get caught in there, then you take the whole Tupperware thing out, and you go put it like in a 10-gallon and let it hatch out, and then watch for tiny little fry up at the surface. And you're going to have some green water, infusoria, maybe microworms or vinegar eels, like lots of small foods ready to go to kind of bridge that gap there. But that's my advice from someone who hasn't bred that specific fish. So there's always a chance of like, no, this shiner breeds completely different than every other shiner on the planet. Like, oh, well, it just goes to show, you never know. All right. So far, Team Reese's is leading by a huge 3%. Whew. It's actually, I guess it's technically a 6% swing, but 53% to 47 for you podcast listeners at home. Whew. I actually had one Snickers and one, well, let's qualify that. A fun size Snickers and like a fun size Reese's today. So I'm on both teams. I did that because I was feeling a little bit not peppy enough because I'm back at the gym. It was day 2 today. Day 2 of being back from the gym after missing 3 months from COVID. And I was just like, yeah, man, struggling today. Got that sugar boost. Boom. Today was sled day, where you got to push the sled down and back. It's a new gym, so it's like that. It's almost like that, like a football sled type of thing. It didn't have the big pad, but different than the type of sled I'm used to pushing around. All right, Elizabeth asks, am I feeding enough variation? I got flake food daily, bloodworms on Monday, frozen brine shrimp on Wednesday, and frozen Daphne on Friday. That sounds pretty good. I mean, there's always like, well, you could diversify more. Yes, but I got to be honest, that's plenty good. It'd be a real corner case to be like, well, we could optimize a little bit more. The only thing I would maybe do is, what I would advise customers in the store, if you were doing this setup, is whatever you think they like the least, and I don't know what that is, but let's say it's the Daphnia. I don't know. Or maybe you got smaller fish, so maybe it's the brine shrimp's a little too big. Whatever it is, right? Rotate like one of the frozen foods. So maybe instead of Daphnia, next time get Cyclops. And then maybe instead of frozen brine, next time get Mysis, right? And maybe instead of frozen bloodworms, next time you get Tubifex. But over like a 6-month span, you'll rotate some of those different protein sources and stuff like that. But again, we're like optimizing probably the last 5%, where you're like 95% in a probably pretty good situation. And as hobbyists, because it's our hobby, we enjoy focusing on that last 5%. But for some people, it'll drive them crazy, and we don't want to go there, So don't strive for absolute perfect, but you're pretty close. Where can I purchase high quality bettas? I don't know of a site that would be US based to do that. Aquabid is where I would be shopping if tomorrow I needed a high end betta and I didn't already find one I like in my store. I'd go on Aquabid, and there'd be a lot from Thailand and stuff like that. And you'd have to ship it with a transshipper and all of that. It's going to cost a lot more money, but that's where I would find a high-end betta with a big selection. If you don't need a big selection, just kind of shop around your pet stores. Mile High Freshwater, hello from Denver. Well, hello from Washington. That's right, we did hit 450K subs today. I think it was today. Been watching that count down for a little while now. It's a nice achievement. I like that. I longed for this day a long time, and then I realized the numbers don't matter. What matters is, and people probably heard this term before, but like true fans. So like, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but like 759 people, you guys are true fans. The people who watch this afterwards, true fans. The people that have seen probably like 10 videos from Aquarium Co-op, they're true fans. There's plenty of, we get millions of views every month, and maybe, they only ever watch one video from us because they had fin rot or they, had a random question. But then there's, whatever the other group of people is that are like, oh, I've seen 80% of Aquarium Co-op videos. Those are true fans. And that's the number I actually care about and who I listen to. And I've been accused of like, oh, you're building an echo chamber with that membership program. And the answer is yes, I am actually. Like, to a point. I like to surround myself with people that I can get along with, just like friends. You could claim like, well, you choose who you hang out with. That's an echo chamber. Like, well, yes, it kind of is. But you can also choose to be open-minded and think about things critically, which I typically always do. And so And, you know, there's a lot of people in the members and that kind of stuff that have very differing opinions. They come from different parts of the world. That, you know, they have different opinion of products. I don't like that. I like this. I wish it did that. But in general, yeah, these true fans that you guys are, and that I strive to help, is the number I focus on. And I don't think there's a way we can qualify that, but, you know, that's, instead of going, we need to get to 1 million subscribers, I'm going, how do we get to 500 educational blog articles? How do we help more people? Like, it's a number that doesn't, you know, there's no tally mark for it, but I know it's the right thing to do. So that's what I think is the right. I don't know it to be true. I think it's the right thing that I need to strive for. I have OR water. Oh, maybe Oregon water? Just like Washington water, Java ferns don't die, but they don't thrive. I don't think it's light or fertilizer related. Based off tests I've done. Any other ideas? They want a lot of potassium. I don't know if you have a potassium test, but they want a lot of potassium. If you have super low pH, that could be a problem too. But a lot of times, it's calcium and potassium are the ones that hold back a Java fern. Yeah. It's really hard to make an honest attempt at helping someone. It's like, well, I didn't see the parameters, so these are just the most likely things. But you could be like, I got the hardest. I got more calcium I know what to do with, and my potassium's off the charts, bro. It's like, oh well, I don't know then. But those are most people run into that problem. So I would start there, and if you check those off the list, then it comes down to like, I don't know the answer, unfortunately. I finally got tiger teddies. I need some tips. Well, they're a live bearer. Feed them lots. My number one tip would be hatch live brine shrimp and feed them. They got small mouths. They're a live bearer. They got small fry. Crush up flake food. But in general, that live food is going to be the difference between like, yeah, they kept going and, ooh, I made a bunch. All right. Have you ever used levamisol? If so, what dosage did you use? I know it might not be relevant if we have a different kind, but I have prohibit. So I've played around with a lot of different dosages. In fact, I mean, I play around with it quite a bit. This Expel P from Fritz, which we do not sell yet, is levamisol. Each packet contains 113 milligrams of levamisol hydrochloride. So I play with it a lot, actually. The problem is I don't have a great dosage that I can like decree of like, everyone knows it is 126 milligrams per 10 gallons. That doesn't exist yet. What I've been successful with as a hobbyist in the past is I go to selectaquatics.com and I follow Greg Sage's instructions and I buy the meds from him, right? So I've been successful with that, and that's what I recommend because, one, you know the product. Two, there's directions. Three, it's got a track record. Are there a bunch of other crazy things you could be doing? Totally. And I encourage you, go down that road, do that experiment, run those tests, share it with others, and together we'll learn a lot more about levamisol. But right now, I don't have great information. Like right now, basically, I could tell you like, well, I haven't had any camellianus redworm to test this on, but if you're trying to kill planaria, it's now working. So, yeah. I just heard someone come in my room. Yeah?
Did you need your water? I refilled it.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good. The dogs are here. Merchandise to New Zealand, not even on the radar currently. That's probably, I mean, realistically, probably a couple years out. There's probably going to be, what I imagine is going to happen, there's going to be a point at which we just have the bandwidth to ship to different markets. And it'll be like, great, we're hitting Europe, we're hitting Australia, we're hitting the UK, the UK, and we're hitting New Zealand and India, and it's probably going to be a succession of pretty quick. Like right now, we're still learning and struggling with Canada, But as we learn, so imagine like you never had an aquarium. The first one's the hardest. And once you become a wizard at that one, each one after that is easier. Like I didn't know I'd have to have Canadian tax accountants. I probably got to have New Zealand tax accountants, and I got to have all these. Like by the minute we went international, I had to drop my current accountants, and they're like, well, we don't want to do international taxes. So I have to go get new tax accountants. Even though I have Canadian tax accountant, I have to have someone in the US that wants to do international taxes for us. So you get that under your belt. Well, now it's easier to add on more countries. And so, but I realistically think it's not in the short term because we've got a lot of projects in the short term right now. And I know that we just don't have the bandwidth to actually make that happen soon. Long term, it's definitely on the radar. Oh no, I lost that super chat that I had up. I'm going to inject CO2 into a nano tank that's a 6-gallon cube. I may not need it, but is it feasible to do it without killing my betta? Sure, it's feasible. The tips, what tips do I have? Use tiny amounts of CO2. People tend to go from like none to all of it. Like, yeah, it's kind of like a package of Oreos. As long as they're not open, it's fine. The minute you open it, you ate the whole package in a night. And that's what people do with CO2. It's like, well, now that I have it, grow faster, do more things. Like, I paid a lot of money for you. Work better. And really, the optimal thing is to, like, just barely use a little bit more. It takes so little to really get the benefits. Because as you crank it up, you're going to need more fertilizer. You're going to need more light. You're going to need all of these things. And the reality is, if you only needed this much more CO2, and now you're giving it this much more CO2, well, now you need this much more fertilizer, and this much more water changes, and this much more light. Where if you just added that much CO2, you already had that much extra light and fertilizer. It'd be in balance, and you'd be getting the same. That's a good point. People don't realize that for the average person, as long as you're in balance, if you're in balance here, you're going to enjoy your tank the exact same level as someone who's in balance up here. So if your plants only grow up to here every week and you trim off this much, or your plants grow to here every week and you trim off that much, it's the same. The only way it makes a difference, like someone like me, where at our warehouse, we want to grow the plant. We want to convert faster because it's better for you. If you were selling those plants, you'd want them to grow faster. You make more money. But as a home hobbyist, I want optimal growth. And for me, what that is would be like, I want reds on my reds. I don't want to see pinholes or anything. And so I'm trying to say, in a perfect world, what I aim for is everything is healthy and it grows incredibly slow. So that way I can like do nothing to the tank for like months at a time and then come in and trim a little bit. And it's like a hands-off, great like thing to be a part of. So that's what I aim for, where most people, they go from struggling to, if I give it all the things, it'll just be way better. And you can get there in any of this range. You just have to pick, So imagine, and this might be a better analogy here. If you didn't have a car and now you got a car, well, you don't have to drive 150 miles an hour to get to the grocery store. You could just be a normal human and drive like 25 to 35, get there, load up your groceries and drive home. Yes, you can do 150 both ways there and back, but more dangerous. And that's what I would say with CO2 is like the more CO2 you're pumping in, the more dangerous it starts getting. You're messing with pH and things like that. Whereas if you just do it minimally, now you're getting all the benefit of owning that car, makes your life a lot easier. And that's the way I would try and tackle 5 discus. Keep them 3. Okay. My brain is not handling it because there's no punctuation. So I gotta decipher on the fly. I have 5 discus, keep in 3 months, 2 of them look sick. I gave them Metroplex, which is probably metronidazole, for 3 days. And last night, one of them died. And another one get the same symptoms. What should I do? So diagnosing disease is always a little bit hard. With discus, I would say the first thing, make sure you're at 85, 86 degrees at the minimum. That higher temperature usually helps fight off bacterial stuff that goes on. After that, are they still eating? If the answer is no, that's a real bad sign. with a discus that won't eat, typically I say quarantine, put the temperature to 90, and hope you stimulate their metabolism. There we go. Stimulate their metabolism and get them eating again. Because if there's no nutrition coming in, it's really hard to repair a fish. But that hotter temperature speeds up metabolism and usually can help trigger that. So I would work with that. But also know that when you use meds are hard on a fish. And if they were filled with, like, let's say tapeworms, and you kill off all those tapeworms, the medicine did its job. The problem becomes that it could now have rotting worms inside of it, and that's going to cause some bloating issues and some other things. They can go septic. So just know that just because we use meds, it's not a guarantee. Like, just because I take a medicine doesn't mean I'm healthy tomorrow. It just means it's on the way to get me towards that. And so it's a hard situation to be in, and it always feels harder because discus are bigger fish, and they usually cost more money, and they can be a little finicky to them, but yeah, I would say, good luck. And try and learn, go, okay, well, that one didn't work, this one works, what's working on my system, and continue on. Am I going to Aquarcella Chicago? No, I currently have no plans to be traveling pretty much at all this year. If it gets a lot better for travel and that kind of stuff, we might try to take a vacation. But other than that, because we didn't take one last year, other than that, kind of playing it low key. I'm really trying to focus on a lot of the business stuff, videos, and all of that. Like, build the foundation. This, even before COVID happened, by the way, it was on the radar that this was minimize traveling and focus on foundational work, big system integrations and all that kind of stuff where it's all hands on deck. Things can go wrong. I'll give you a story because Flueball's tripping, right? Flueball managed to bring our warehouse to a screeching halt last Saturday. So we ordered a bunch of lights from them. They finally ship them. It was $40,000 worth of lights. Because it's like a 6-week lead time, we placed another $40,000 order for lights the next day. So now we got 80, and normally they don't charge the card until they ship. Well, I think they shipped the next batch the next day, right? Because they charge the next day. We don't have them yet. But they also screwed up and charged again for another $40,000. It was like $42,000, which was a mistake charge. So you know how when a company double charges you, it ties up funds? Yes. So they were able to basically max out our credit card that we had tied in for buying postage. And I had to call the company, or I had to call my credit card company and pay $85,000, and they had to get a manager to sign off that they would okay it, so that everyone at the warehouse is standing around that can't ship is like, well, what do we do now? And Flueball's tripping. They locked us down by basically charging, in the span of 48 hours, over $120,000 to us, which we only owed 85 of it. But nevertheless, they're like, well, it says here it's pending and all of that. It was just a snafu. But I don't even know how I got there. But yeah, I must have read something and it triggered me. But Flueball's still tripping. All right, we got some new members. Thank you for that. Is the physical store open, or is COVID ruining my plans to visit still? We are physically open. We are limiting the people that can come in. The limitation is one party of up to 2 people. So maybe it's you and your sibling, maybe it's you and your spouse, maybe it's you and your kid. Up to 2 people per 1 employee. So if we have 3 people working, there can be 3 parties in there. So there can be up to 6 other people besides our employees. You have to wear a face mask because we want our employees want to feel safe, and now it's mandated. But in general, we have some masks we can provide you, which it does cost money, so please wear a mask if you own one. But if you don't, and you really got to look at our cardinal tetras or something like that, we'll provide you with a very cheap mask. Because I feel obligated that if I'm going to make there be a barrier to entry, let's help you do that. There can definitely be a wait time on the weekends, and even during, if everyone shows up at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, well, we all got to wait, right? It's just the way it is, but this is the way we're getting back. And I will warn you that the fish selection is hard to get. So we're bringing a lot of fish in from out of the country, which is extra hard, but the normal wholesalers, because not everyone's back to like work and back to having their store open, they're not bringing in a lot of stuff. So, the things that are hardest to get for us right now are rummy nose tetras, cardinal tetras, autosynclus, Siamese algae eaters. We're limited. So on those, at least those 4, we're limited to 50. Now, for a store like us, 50 cardinal tetras, we'd sell somewhere between 200 and 300 a week, at least. So we have to like try and find other sources. So you're gonna probably get a little bit of frustration of like, you don't have cardinals? What is with you? And it's like, yeah, we can't buy any. I'm sorry. We order our limit every single week, and we did import some, but they're in quarantine right now. So they'll make it to the market, so to speak, once they're through quarantine. But right now, my words of compassion for everyone is like, everything's just a little bit harder for everyone right now. Like, it's not, get mad at me. Don't get mad at my employee who's like, please put on a mask or whatever. Like, it's just, we have immunocompromised employees and that kind of stuff. And we're just trying to protect everyone. And even if it wasn't an employee, you don't know if the person next to you is immunocompromised and that kind of stuff. And we're just trying to make it easy as we can. And that's the path of least resistance is let's practice moderate safety for everyone. And hopefully it's just a thing we don't think about anymore in 3 months. All right. I know I missed some super chats. I'm going to go back and find them. Because I turned on super chats today, which is something I don't always do. But I thought, you know what? Today I'm doing it. All right. I've got 5 stir-by cories in a 50-gallon tank, and I've spent 4 months growing in the plants. Please... suggestions for a small single-species fish, and how many? Coried stir-bys, okay. 50 gallons. If you want to go the library route, I would do Endler's Library. I'd pick a version I like. If you want something that's not necessarily going to spawn a bunch, I would do a great school, probably of Ember Tetras. I really like those things when they're fired up and you're feeding them well. They really get a nice red, and because you got a lot of plants, I think that'll look really good. So those are my 2 that I would suggest. It's hard to get antibiotics in Canada. Is any of your affiliates sell and ship the Medtrio to Canada if you don't? Not that I know of, because it's illegal. We'd actually be breaking the law. So I don't know of anyone who... I mean, what it really comes down to is who here is willing to commit like a federal crime for the profit of like $11? The answer is nobody, right? And so I don't think anyone... I'm not going to say they'll never get up there, because I'm sure someone's doing that, but they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it, and it's not legal. But if I was in Canada, trust me, if Aquarium Co-op was based out of Canada, we would just be the #1 salesman for salt. Salt is a miracle. Like, if you have a quarantine tank and you have salt, you win. Now, I realize everyone's going to be like, well, quarantine tanks take space and they cost money. Yes. But if you everywhere around the world, you got limitations, right? Or even around the country, you got limitations. Like, oh, you got tornadoes, you got earthquakes, you got this. We all got things we got to deal with. And if your limitation is you can't get antibiotics, set yourself up to be successful with salt. That's what I would do. Same thing. I got really soft water. I love hard water fish. I'm at a disadvantage. Make sure all my tanks got tons of crushed coral, right? That's just what I got to do. To keep my buddies in some water, I got to do what I got to do. And I still think it's a cheap price to pay in terms of I'm continually I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but no joke. Yesterday, I was laying on the temporary hammock I have in the fish room, looking at the fish that I imported for the 800 gallon, which, you know, you guys are guessing what they are. And I was just looking at it going, how crazy is it that we get to have fish in our own home in a clear box we can look at? I don't have to go out to the river and pray I could like see through the water and see some fish. I get to order fish based on what I think looks cool, and then I get to keep them in my home. That's why I still think like any fish at like any price is still a bargain. A neon tetra for $20, like the fact that you can keep it in your home is so cool. And I know that we take it for granted, and that, you know, I just, and I see it come out in children. When you have a child that looks at fish and plays with, like in my ponds, I have kids over sometimes, family members, they don't have the concept of like how much it would have cost. You just see them like laughing and playing with the fish and all of that. And to stand back and go, that's happening in my house. We didn't have to go somewhere and pray that the fish were going to be there that day, that it wasn't raining, that it was sunny enough to see them and all that. Like, it's really magical to me. And even this far in my career, I still am amazed. I'm like, this is such a cool thing that we can do. And it's cool with dogs, it's cool with reptiles, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's like another, maybe it's passion, I don't know, but it's like another level cooler to do with fish, I think. All right, Henry Chavez asks, why are my tiger lotus not growing? My dwarf aquarium lilies are thriving, but my tiger lotus barely grow out of the bulb. It's been over a month. I got liquid and tabs and plenty of light. I mean, they do like a lot of light, so hopefully plenty of light is totally enough. In general, they can grow a little bit low, but once they get some up there, they'll grab a lot of light, a lot of nutrients. But I don't have a good reason. The only thing I could really tell you is that, in general, dwarf aquarium lily bulbs are very easy and they grow really fast, and tiger lotus bulbs are the opposite of that, right? So it might be like growing a tree outside. You're like, well, trees take forever to grow, versus growing a weed. You're like, weeds grow super quick. Like, well, they're both plants, and, you know, yes, those are both bulb plants, but they have different growth speeds. And so I think a little bit of it's that. You've only had it a month, so do know that it takes, when you plant a plant, at the bare minimum, it takes 1 week before it can even start utilizing nutrients through its roots. So really, you've got like 3 weeks of maybe growing. And so some plants, like a crinum, the plant's usually in the 800 gallon, when you move it, it takes 6 to 8 weeks before it stops hating me. So for 6 to 8 weeks, when we put that thing back in there, it's going to be sloughing off leaves and dying and doing its thing. And Corey, people are going to be like, Corey, why are you so bad? Why are you killing that thing? Why are you? It really hates being transplanted. And I know that from having those plants for years, and I only move them usually once every couple years, and every time it's the same result of like, you disturbed our massive root base, we're now angry. And it's not that they're angry, it's that those roots were supporting that plant. And when you kind of uproot that and plant that somewhere else, they're not in the right orientation, all the root hairs and everything, they got to restructure. And so you're going to get that die back because it's still going, I need to eat, I'm hungry, I got to consume my own leaves for nitrogen, while they're building out. So think about this. They're losing these leaves to build out more root structure. Those root structure finally tap in. You might have heard the word taproot before. Finally tap into the nutrients. Then the roots go from taking nutrients to make themselves to consuming nutrients to supply the plant again. So you basically are just converting these big pretty leaves back to roots. And when you give it enough time, those roots then give it back to pretty leaves. And that's probably what's going on here in your lily bulb. With the bulbs, they're a little bit more difficult. Well, not difficult. A little bit more complicated because the bulbs themselves are actually nutrient storage. And once the roots get established, they recharge the bulb, and then the bulb is what fuels the plant. So a lot of times with a bulb plant, you'll get root growth and leaf growth at the same time, but it won't be nearly as fast of when you just have tap roots just going, let's gobble up stuff, feed this bulb, and this bulb has unlimited food to feed the foliage. So, yeah, time's all you need. How's Murphy doing? Haven't had as much time to watch the live stream. He's doing pretty good. I would say, he's, for lack of a better term, a little depressed. He likes to hang out with more people. But he's doing all right. Yeah. I was testing another camera to get you guys a better picture of Murphy live stream. It's not going to work. I got to send it back. Just trying. It was on my to-do list of like things like to try and improve a little bit, but nope. But he's doing good. All right. Words are hard, Candy says. Words are hard. Trust me, words are hard. How do I sterilize mosquito larvae? I don't. I personally don't fear anything from my own yard. It's not that you can't bring in diseases. It's that, and this is going to sound horrible, but the odds of you bringing in disease are far higher from a frozen food, a live plant from us or anyone else. The biggest culprit is any live fish. Bringing any fish in your system is way more likely to bring in something. But in general, like, the way I look at it is I couldn't even name what you might bring in with those mosquito larvae. And if I could, then it'd be like, okay, well, I need a microscope to see it. And on top of that, will a med just take it out? A lot of my experience and the way I keep fish is all based on, like, well, I fed mosquito larvae for like 10 years straight from a bucket out of my yard at 4 different homes, and I never ran into a problem. So I think that for the most part, the way I'm doing it seems okay. You're probably going to be okay too. And obviously I get feedback from Dean's doing the same thing, Randy's doing the same thing, fans are doing the same thing. And it's not that you couldn't bring something in. You could be like, well, I live here and we got crazy mosquito bacteria. Like, oh, dang. Yeah, don't do that then. But for the average person, I think, don't worry about it. And that's I run into that a lot with like, well, I'm going to sterilize my plants. I'm going to dip them in bleach. And then they're like, my plants aren't growing so well. It's like, you think? You dipped them in bleach. Like, what'd you expect? You killed off all the bad and you killed off half the good. Like, that's kind of how those kind of things work. All right. Taylor McNee became a member. That's Simply Bettas, if you don't know. Well, could be an imposter, I suppose. Could be. But I don't think so. It's got the same profile picture. Heath gave me $2, says I'm doing great. Well, thank you. I appreciate $2. My discus planted tank has ick. Help! I recommend IckX. I've treated many discus with ick. I always use IckX, even in a planted tank. If you can't get that, that's when it becomes difficult. If you can get that, that becomes easy, in my opinion. As easy as it can be. Not that disease is easy or fun to deal with, but you can make it as easy as you can on yourself. Oof. Looks like Reese's is the winner. I'm going to end this poll. That means here's my new thing. I'm going to run a poll every live stream, and then I get to eat that one. That's my new thing. I'm going to eat a Reese's when I'm done. So do anything crazy when I end the poll? I don't know. I got to scroll down to find out later. Do I like to have floating plants cover the entire top of the water in my outdoor tubs, or leave some space open? I like space to be open because I like to feed and get food in there. In a perfect world, if I could just like wave a wand, I would choose half covered. Where should I get a female gourami? We'll bring in powder blue female gouramis into our store. Outside of that, I would look to Aquabid, try to find a local breeder, or maybe not local, but an online breeder. But not too many. Like, I can order, like overseas, I can order female gouramis. The problem is I got to order like 250 of them. and you're going to want 3. And then that means I got 230 some, because someone died in quarantine, that I can't get rid of because no one wants a brown gourami. So I'm going to read this next super chat just so it triggers everyone who's super chatted between, because I know they'll be like, they missed mine. I didn't miss it. I'm scrolling down. I'm just reading this one because I want to read it right now. What feeding rotation and schedule do you recommend between co-op foods, live brine shrimp, and frozen? My typical spiel is I like, in a perfect world, 5 days. Well, depends. 4 to 5 days of frozen and live foods, right? And then 1 to 2 days. Well, no, pretty much always 2 days of dry foods. And then you're going to go, well, if you only fed 4 days of frozen and live and 2 days of dry, that means there's a day that you didn't feed. Yeah, some tanks I like to take a day off, like on a goldfish tank, African cichlid tanks. There's a few types of fish where I like to give them a rest. Predator fish is a good example also, like a Murphy or an aggressive cichlid. But if, like, I always hesitate to say, what do I recommend? Because my recommendations change all the time. So I can tell you what I do right now. Typically, right now in my fish room, everything that is small, so that's like tetras and guppies and all that kind of style of fish, they get live baby brine every day, and they're getting, depending on what can I pick up or container, they get extreme krill flake or extreme nano. Now, I've got other fish too. So what about, Corey, what about the clown loaches? What about the Oscar? What about those whiptail cats from Peru? What about plecos? What about your African cichlids that you have? Which I guess if you're not members, you probably don't know I have those now. But anyway, those things, so like the clown loaches, they get a mix of frozen brine shrimp, spirulina brine shrimp. They get floating cichlid excel by Hikari, and they get sinking monster pellets from Extreme. The African cichlids, they get live baby brine. Even though they're big, they're spitting fry out because they're having babies, and I want the babies to get the brine. So again, that whole feed the babies before they're even showing up, that type of thing. And the adults eat it anyway, but it's not enough for them. And then I feed them cichlid excel. Now, I will throw in some extreme every once in a while, but that's mostly what's going on there. Then for like those whiptail cats, they're getting Hikari massivore pellets, some extreme sinking pellets, and then some frozen bloodworms and brine shrimp, but they don't take to it nearly as well. Like the pellets seem to work better for those guys. But then they're like, I could walk out there right now and be like, everybody's getting Vibrobites. Like, I like to change it up too. So, but I think a varied diet and mixing between frozen and live foods and dry foods give you a leg up. And I do rank foods in that live food, in my opinion, is the best. You can't just only ever feed live food or you will run into some deficiencies. But so majority category, majority being live food, that's a winner. The next would be majority being frozen food. Then the next would be like a high quality food of just dry food. And then there's like lower quality foods, and that would be like real bulk foods. Like there's a lot of online sellers that will sell you bulk pellets. Like let's say you're on eBay, right? And you're like, dang, I can get 20 pounds for $50. But in general, the way those pellets are made and handled and stored and the ingredients, they're like just a lesser quality. Now, that works if you have, I've got a trout pond, or I have a bunch of red-tailed catfish, and feeding them a high-quality food will set me back $2,000 a month. Like there's a time and a place for everything, but you know my stance on fish, where I think that they're like crazy undervalued, and we're getting a great return on our money. And to me, to hatch out like brine shrimp or feed frozen food every day and I used to break this down for customers, right? So let's say you got a package of frozen food and it costs you, let's just say $10. Like it should only cost like between 4 and 6 probably, right? Let's say it's $10 and you get 24 cubes. Well, simple math is for about $7, you feed your fish. If they're eating a cube, because you got like a 20-gallon tank, you're putting a cube of frozen food in, you're basically feeding them for a month for $7. And if you mix that with dry food, maybe you're getting 6 weeks out of it. And that's a real high quality food for what I consider to be a very nominal investment. And there's always things that don't make sense. So like one of the things I don't think makes sense is like Northfin fish food. Some of their foods, like their krill food, is so expensive, I can get pounds of live blackworms cheaper. So when you can get like a live food and you buy it and you don't have to put the work and that's cheaper than the dry food, that's where I'm like, why wouldn't I just buy the live food? So there is things that break that barrier to me, and you got to kind of examine your own wallet and examine your own fish and go, well, what am I buying? Can I use it up? And that's a big thing that I think people need to focus on is don't just go and buy the Costco size container. If you have, if that's going to take you 3 years, that's the wrong size to buy. You want to buy something that takes you like 3 weeks to use up. It's always going to cost you more money, but imagine buying like let's say I'd sell you the back of a pickup truck filled with potato chips, but it's in one bag, right? Well, after the first few weeks, it's going to be real stale and it's not really a deal anymore. But I'll sell you that same pickup truck and it'll be a bunch of bags this big, but it's going to cost you a lot more money. Well, then you go, well, then I'll just buy like 1 bag at a time or maybe 2 bags at a time. It'll stay fresher. Yeah, that's what we do as humans. And that's what we should be doing with fish too. But somehow in our brains we're like, but I save $7 when I buy $100 worth of this food. It's like, well, yes, you will, but you should only be doing that if you're like a real heavy user of it. All right, scrolling down. My plants came in amazing. Thank you for replacing the Phoenix I ordered. My pH is 6.0 with a KH of 0 and a GH of 3. I can't keep a mono and B shrimp alive. Tank's about 2 months old. Well, so your pH is actually too low. Like in my experience, lower than 6.4, B shrimp don't do well. They pretty much do well at 6.4 to 6.6. Like that's the range that I had success with. And being way lower than that, like the mono shrimp are going to struggle a bit. Your tank's also only 2 months old, so like you might have some microfauna issues. So I would get the pH up to at least 6.4. If you're not going to do B shrimp again, get it to 7. Get yourself a little bit of buffer, because right now you're at 6 with no buffer. You can instantly go to 5.8. Like that, right? And that's really going to be eating away at their shells and that kind of stuff, like their exoskeleton. So I would buffer that up kind of a bit. That's what I would focus on. Oh, I scrolled too far. I've gone too far. All right. Oh, a thing did pop up. 868 votes with Team Reese's winning. All right. Can bug bites be used as a staple food for a mixed community South American cichlid tank? I would say yes. I would have no problem, especially since it's insect-based. A lot of times I try to focus on what's a main ingredient. Is that conceivable where they're from? And definitely insect is like, yeah. Now, would they eat insects all day long every day? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the fish. But could it be part of it? As a staple, probably, yeah. And I will say, it does very much, like, if you were to ask me, like, well, can I use that as a staple versus Wardley? Like, yes, Wardley is garbage, right? So you always got to kind of quantify, well, what are we comparing it to, right? But yes, I wouldn't be worried at all if I I got a ton of bug bites I got to feed out. I'd be like, cool, That's the other thing I should really harp on here is. If some company, like let's say Fluval, which Fluval is always tripping, but let's say they sent me like a 5-gallon bucket of bug bites, I literally would just be feeding that in my fish room. And you guys would be asking me like, well, what do you think you should feed? And I would be like, well, right now I'm feeding bug bites because they gave them to me for free. Well, wouldn't I? Right? And you guys should do the same thing. If you go to a club auction, you're like, well, I bought that food. Like, let's say it was Northfin, or let's say it's New Life Spectrum or Extreme or whatever. And you're like, I bought this thing of food and it was $3. Like, feed that. Because going to buy this food that you normally get for $9 isn't going to be like 6 times better. It's just going to be like, maybe it's better, but it's not 6 times better. Now, the only time that breaks down is like Wardley or like Nature Valley. Like, there's some like dog food brands that basically make fish foods, and those are like such a low quality feed that I do think it's detrimental. But otherwise, you know, use what you can get a good good deal. Yeah. What's your opinion on keeping fish with turtles? I want to set up a musk tank, and I don't know what kind of fish. I'm not a fan. Well, I would say, knowing what I know now, I've been keeping turtles with fish for a long time. Over time, it just seems to kind of always be a pain in the butt. Like, I had a loach. What kind of loach was it? It was like a Modesta loach. Go rogue after like 14 months of being with him, and he ate a ton of my turtle's eyes, which sucked. Like, you can't feel more horrible than I do right now. Like, it's not good. You're just like, because I noticed it, because I was like, why do I have a bunch of turtles up on the basking spot? They never bask. Like, I mean, one will do it every once in a while, and you're like, oh, look, a turtle's basking. And then one day I came in, and I was like, why is there like 9 turtles on this thing? That has never been. And then I go over there and look, and I'm like, oh my God, they're missing a bunch of eyeballs. And it wasn't even just the turtles. The swordtails in there are missing eyeballs too. And so I kind of sat across the room and I watched this loach hunt them. So obviously I moved the loach in with the other loaches, and now he can, you know, the big loaches hold their own. But do I feel like a total jackass? Yes, 100%. I feel like a total jackass. That being said, they live and thrive with Rasbora hets, swordtails, Endler's livebearers. But there's also times when, you know, the turtles might take a bite out of a fish or might hunt them. So do I recommend it? I don't know that I would walk out there and be like, yeah, you should do that. I would say, like, based on my experience, it might be more trouble than it's worth. You know, it started out that tank was, what do I do with this bent-spined guppy? Put it with the turtles. If they eat it, it's a meal. If they don't, it's something to look at. And then they were pretty poor hunters, and so I started getting insane amounts of fry. So then we had that loach come in, and I don't know how it made it to my fish room. I don't remember that, but that loach came in, and I was like, this thing's kind of a butthole. I'll put it in with the turtles. It'll eat a bunch of those fry. Problem solved. Turtles aren't eating it. You know, turtles, they're hardy. They'll hold their own. They'll chomp that guy. And it was fine for like 14 months. And then now I'm eating my words. Now I look like an idiot. So, you know, what's right today might not be right tomorrow. All right. I could be missing super chats. I'm gonna do a poll that's only gonna enrage people. I'm gonna do another poll. Oh no, where'd it go? I think every time you guys, it's either a super chat or like I start typing in the poll and it'll go away if something happens. That's probably a bug. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I can't even make a poll, so I don't know what. It's not super chats, but that's a bug I gotta report to YouTube. I can't even type in the poll with. It's probably messages or something that trigger it. How do I get Java Moss to grow quickly? I don't know. When you unlock that secret, let me know. We'll make $1 million. This is kind of a slow grower. You can give it decent light, give it decent nutrients, and give it some CO2, and it will grow kind of slow. That's what you get. That's what I get. That's why it's always kind of hard to get and expensive. What's my favorite bottom feeder? Well, it's the Corridora, of course. Corsidora. This guy right here. Boom. Stir by Corey. Focus not on me. Yeah. I like the rendition of it being more gold. I liked it. All right. Scrolling. Best tank mates for a single Oscar. I got him in a 100-gallon tank with 4... Oh, I was thinking about getting 4 Geophagus Tapajos. You could do that. I'd probably go with, like, maybe some haplo catfish, something down low. Probably what I would choose. Or maybe... I want something that's going to comb the bottom. And the Geophagus will do that, too. I'm just worried that they're going to try and breed and, like, square off versus the Oscar is all. I feed Bacter AE once a week to my shrimp, and every time I do, I lose a few shrimp. Have I ever seen this before? Truth be told, I've never fed Bacter AE, so I don't know. I mean, I understand the principle of like seeding extra bacteria into an aquarium for shrimp, and in theory that would work. In practice, I've seen a bunch of people do it. I've never done it or needed to do it. So, as a hobbyist, I haven't run into that situation. That doesn't mean that it's not the best thing to do. I mean, as a hobbyist, I don't work out every day. I probably should be, but I don't. So I don't actually do everything that's best, but I don't have that experience. So, I mean, a lot of people do, though. So I feel like something else might be going on there or, you know, yeah, I'm not sure. But a lot of people do. So I feel like that might be an outlier. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finish the 800-gallon behind me as well. Trust me. It is... I mean, I got like all these like pieces and things ready to go, and it's because I need to plant it. So even if all the parts came in tomorrow, I want to plant this thing and really get it growing nice before I unveil it. So like we're at least a week out still, but I've got this vision in my mind that I really want to create, and I don't want to spoil it. And I want to take you guys, I want you guys to be like, wow, Corey is an idiot. That looks horrible. Like, all right. I think it'll be good, though. I have some betta forshai, and a male is swallowing the eggs. Do you know what I can do to prevent that? Usually when... A couple of things happen when fish start swallowing eggs. Either A, they weren't fertile to begin with, or B, something's spooking them. So what triggers is if they think there's a predator and someone's going to come eat the eggs, they eat them, get the protein back, and then they're like, we'll swim somewhere else and go lay eggs again because we got our protein back. So you might try putting like sides on the aquarium. You might try dimming the light. You might try making sure that you don't have a light coming from behind you. So you see how like behind me there's light, so you can see the shadow move on my shoulder. If the aquarium was right here and we walk, we're always going to create a shadow on that aquarium, and that could be that predator feeling for them. So it could be a time thing also, like as they realize, like, that guy's just walking to get a Reese's. You know, they learn that that's a normal behavior. I don't know how long you've had them, but especially if those came in as wild caughts, typically shadows mean keep your eyes out. All right. Trying to catch up. I promise. I just ordered extreme food and pellets from you, so I wish I could buy my fish from you. I'm tired of losing fish from my local pet store. Yep. I will give you the caveat that one of the reasons I don't sell fish is most of us aren't very good at keeping fish alive. So there's two parts skill. You could have the greatest store in the world and be a terrible fish keeper, and the result is my fish store sucks, right? But the reality is like, well, normally we have like a mediocre store and then like a mediocre hobbyist, and some things just go wrong. And then you have people that are like absolutely new in an okay store, and then stuff dies and it's always their fault. And then you've got it where you've got just like literally just terrible stores and you're a decent hobbyist and you're like trying to save stuff, but you're losing more than you want to, and that kind of stuff. It's a hard business, and shipping makes it another layer harder, and the fact that we talk about all day in the live stream, trying to diagnose a disease over the internet. Now have the obligation. You sold me the fish and it got sick. It must be your fault. It's like, well, your tank could be on fire. There could be that going on too. But as a seller in general, it's kind of you're always guilty. And even if you prove you're innocent, like honestly, we have times where people are like, you didn't send this. And it's like, we have video evidence of it going into the box, being taped, and you can see the label get put on the box. And you said the package arrived intact. So magically, on the video, how did it not make it there? But what do we have to do? We basically go, well, I guess we're shipping you another one because the customer's always right, but we're definitely going to make a note on that account. And if something like this ever happens again, we just won't be able to sell to you. Like, we're not calling you a liar, but we have video evidence showing this happened. Like, we can, because we have cameras set up. We learned from one of our vendors. We have video cameras set up from the point of, here's your items, goes into the box. We can see the label being put on it. We can see it getting put into a cart. We can see that cart then getting sorted into a cart. Then we can see that cart getting loaded onto a truck. So we can guarantee it left our facility. And then if you say like, oh, the box came in great, but there's something missing, it's like, well, there must be a magician afoot, because we can see it and we can track that thing, and we have multiple check systems. So when the only way it could even happen would be like, oh yeah, the sticker fell off the desk, not the packing station. That being said, when you watch it go under the camera, get placed in, close the flaps, put the tape over, put the label on, you know, like, well, that thing didn't fall off the desk. So there's always stuff that goes on. Wade Callahan? Reminds me of Tommy Boy. Callahan. B&D Aquatics. Micah gave me $10. Well, thank you, Micah. I'm going to use that to buy candy. How long would you say I need to starve my monos before they start going for green hair algae? Bonus. How long would you say a monos can go without me feeding them and still thrive? For the average person, so unless you have like 400 Amano shrimps in your 30-gallon tank, you probably could go years without feeding them and they'll still thrive. How long before they start eating hair algae? You know, the way I would tackle this problem, so hair algae is usually a result of excess light or nutrients. So you might have excess nutrients. Maybe you fed every day. I'd start going, well, what happens if I feed every other day? Am I getting the results 3 weeks later? Nope. Okay. Let's feed every third day. Am I getting the results? Are they starting to eat it? Nope. Okay. Let's go twice a week, once a week, right? I wouldn't go too much less than once a week probably, because that's enough time that they'll usually start really foraging. But also know that by holding food back, if you have fish in there, they get more hungry and they might be more aggressive. So you might get this great thing like, my Amanos aren't eating the hair algae. They could be getting hunted. And if they're not getting hunted, you hold the food back, maybe then they start getting hunted. So do know there's like always this chain of events that you can't fully recognize until you see it happen. Centerpiece fish for a 30-gallon tank with neons and a Pandagara, I would go with a pearl gourami. That's what I would do. I'm a big fan of them. Dean hates them. Dean's a fool, and I'm awesome. So go with a pearl gourami. I'm breeding a pile of assorted guppies without even trying. Nice humble brag. What line of guppies should I focus on as a pure strain to turn a profit? Ideally, I would say something you like the look of, and in general, like solid color strains do well. So reds do well, blacks do well, blues will do well. Most things that breed true. It gets a little weird when you start going to like, I got a cobra. Like, well, not everyone likes a yellow cobra. Yeah. Online store needs merch for larger tanks than nano tanks. I have a 400-gallon, 5 125s, and 8 40-gallons. Please, online store needs stuff for larger tanks. Like what? You want me to ship you a stick? Shipping's $900. Let's do it. Like, there's logistical things that prevent that. You know, like when I've ordered Manzanita, I have to have it shipped via Greyhound bus, and you have 4 hours to pick it up or they destroy it. You know, there's like these logistical things that just don't scale well, and we pander to the majority instead of the minority. I get it. There literally is like nothing to buy for 800-gallon tanks. I'm in the same boat going, well, I don't actually ask, like, why don't these fools make castles that are 8 feet long and 4 feet tall? Fools. It's because I know not that many people need an 8-foot long castle. Now, don't think for a second, I'm not thinking, how do I get someone to make me a 4-foot castle or an 8-foot castle? I was thinking I can get someone to make it out of concrete because you can cure concrete and you can get that in your tank. But I was like, I'm never going to be able to lift like a 4-foot section of castle over the top and lower that into water. I think it's going to weigh hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But I'm trying. But I can tell you right now, don't worry. I'm never going to be able to sell something that's really going to look awesome in your 400-gallon tank because there's only 22 of us out there that are going to buy it every year. And that we can't store it in the warehouse. There's no way to ship it. The fact that we'd have to change the website, so it either A, this isn't qualify for free shipping, or B, it would qualify for free shipping. It'd be like, that stick's $2,000. Well, we're building in the $900 shipping. So it's, and in general, the larger the aquarium goes, the more people want it tailored. Like, well, if I'm going to spend $2,000, I want to hand pick my stick. I would too, except now we're doing exponential more work for less return. Where it's like, if we just sell a stick that fits in a 20-gallon tank like that, you can do that all day long. So, yeah, unfortunately, you're in the same boat I am in that we're in the not the common denominator. We got to get inventive. I got brown algae growing on my Anubias and my discus tank that I cannot get rid of. So I want to get some Amano shrimp. Do you quarantine shrimp? I've heard they can't transfer disease to fish. I don't know if I can say they can't. I don't know that I've ever heard them actually transfer disease. And no, I do not quarantine shrimp. So my personal experience would say, you're probably okay. I'd give it a shot. I haven't seen that happen, but there's always two people in the corner of the room going, this guy's a fool. I watched an Amano shrimp kill my dog. Saw it happen firsthand. There's always going to be those weird scenarios, but from a guy that plays with a lot of shrimp a lot of time, I've never been able to make the connection of like, oh, my shrimp did a thing. Do I medicate snails in quarantine? Usually not. If we quarantine a fish with them, they'll get all the meds. But at the max, shrimp and snails will get general cure because it's only the praziquantel. So if you had like Hikari, Prazi, that kind of stuff, that is the only thing that can even affect some of those parasites. So, is Ladybird going in the 800-gallon with the other fish? Ladybird is. She's waiting to move in. She's got all her bags packed. Her tank is just her and nothing, ready to be loaded up into a garbage can and dumped in there. But I got to get it fully planted because I don't want her to be like, oh, there's snails in here. Let me blow all the gravel. Oh, there's all my floating plants. So that's why there has to be like this grow-in time. Like, we're waiting on, we got to finish the background, we got to finish the decorations, then we got to plant it, then we got to let that grow in, then we can move Ladybird, then we can move in some of the other fish. Like well, actually I'll probably do the other fish then Ladybird, because if I'm going to put in like 1,000 fish, if those get ick, I want to treat that, and then I'm only bringing in Ladybird. The odds of Ladybird getting sick, I only got one chance. Bringing 1,000 fish in, I got 1,000 chances for one of them to like start getting sick and to start the chain reaction. All right. I know I've missed some super chats. I'm hunting. If I talk too long on a super chat, the scrolls too far, and then I get bamboozled. Let's see if I can scroll through here. What food do you suggest for a 14-inch common pleco? He's in a custom 300-gallon tank, and he gets fresh veggies from my garden, but I hate the wafers. I would make some, like, Rapashi pucks. Now, Rapashi is a gel food that you boil with the water and you mix it up. What I like about that is Rapashi in itself is a little bit spendy, but you can mix anything you want. And so you could mix in some veggies, you could mix in, let's say like cocktail shrimp or any kind of like seafood stuff that you'd buy, so you can kind of bulk it up, if you will. And because it gets encased in gel, it makes a nice scraping surface for the plecostomus. You can get fancy if you want. You could do like a glass dish So imagine you got a glass dish, you fill it with Repashy, that'll automatically sink. It's got a nice surface to eat. You could get a piece of wood or rock and you can like paint it on, so it's like this huge surface for it to clean, like it was cleaning algae off. But that's my go-to food outside of the veggies, which you're already doing. So the veggies, yes, they are a food, but they're a lot of roughage. You want to make sure you're fulfilling that protein part of it, which I'm sure you're seeking out to do, and that's why I gave you that answer. So, I think I've mostly caught up. Even whenever I say that, I know I've missed something, so I'm just going to hit the last one that I see here. Hey, I've got a few Amano shrimps living under the driftwood in my 100-gallon tank. I assume they're hiding from my angels. Do you think it would improve if I replanted the tank a bit denser? Yes, you'll probably get them so they move around more, but you won't see them anymore because being that it's more dense, you'll just have less chance to see them. So, will it improve their quality of life? Probably. Will you see the benefits? Probably not. That's the only downfall there of like, well, I know they got a better life, but I won't see them. All right. What time is it? 4:53? How long have I been alive? I get lost in time. An hour and 25 minutes. Okay. We're not in the crazy time yet. Not crazy yet. Crazy voice. Where'd my chat go? All right. Let's see what I can do pull now. Ah, I think it is when someone types a thing, it goes away. Well, let me be at the bottom. Let me try now. Yeah. Every time someone types something, it closes my window. That's a horrible design. YouTube, you're drunk. Pass that feedback along. All right. I thought someone was talking to my dog. At Tinky. That's my dog's name. I say it's possible with moss and dense plant coverage. Do I recommend Repashy for cerbicories? Definitely. It's a good product. It's you know, if you were watching the channel 2 or 3 years ago, it was all the rage. Corey's feeding more Repashy. And I should be feeding more Repashy than I do right now, but it's still all the rage. That stuff is great. I really do like it. And as we've been able to sell more and build more relationship, we brought the prices down on it, by the way. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we brought prices down by $5. Like we streamlined and only sell a 6-ounce jar. We brought that price down by like $5, which was like 30%, which is good. Worked out for everyone. We also made Pogostem and Stellatus octopus plants $2 cheaper, by the way. Yeah, so buy them. But don't buy them too fast or I'll get yelled at by Randy. Am I Alliance or Horde in WoW? Horde only. How dare you? Although, I'd switch to Alliance in a minute so I could do some PvP and not have to wait. The problem is I work all the time. I can't be waiting 2 hours to play the game. That ain't going to work for me. My favorite guppy tank mates are Cherry Shrimp and Otto Sinkless. What fish can you breed in a 10-gallon other than shrimp and guppies? You could do desert gobies. You could do almost any of the apistos. Crebensis. Technically, you can do angels. Rams. Shell dwellers. A lot of tetras and stuff, but that's kind of an advanced thing. White clouds for sure. Celestial pearl danios. Most fish. I would say most fish you could probably spawn a 10-gallon if your skill level's high enough. Randy has turned his back on the hobby, and now he only likes to look at birds. It's gonna be sad to lose Randy at the end of the year. I'm forcing him to leave because he likes birds and not fish anymore. What kind of Repashy do you recommend for Bristlenose, Plecostomus, Soylent Green, Community Plus, Super Green? What about Bottom Scratcher? The one I actually kind of use is, like, there's a lot of blends and they're tailored to specific types of fish. I'm a guy that's got way too many fish, and I don't want to cook up 7 different batches of Repashy. So I personally just feed everyone the Community Blend. Ooh, speaking of which, I wonder if Aquarium Co-op is big enough now that we can go back to Rapashi. And my favorite food, 100%, was the Rapashi shrimp blend, where it had the extra calcium. Randy, I know you're listening. Put that on our to-do list. Let's reach out to Alan Rapashi and go, can we bring back the shrimp souffle? That's literally my favorite one because we have soft water. I like the extra calcium. It's better for the shrimp and the snails. And it basically, you take the Community Plus and you put in a little bit of extra calcium powder and you got shrimp souffle. It was never a big seller, but we sell so much of it now. Maybe we can, twist their arm and be like, I'll buy a lot of it. Trust me, I'll buy a lot of shrimp souffle. And it sounds fancy. I'm feeding the shrimp souffle. My puffer didn't like that med trio, so I'd do half. Well, doing half is the greatest way to not cure things. That's the reality, is using meds at half strength just don't cure things. Unfortunately. I don't think anyone likes meds, but if it's like, let's say it takes this much radiation to cure cancer and you're like, well, I'll do half of it. You just know that's not going to work. So my advice is maybe find a different med then and use full strength. But in general, trust me when I say this, the chemical companies want to use the least amount of chemicals to kill that disease, because the less they use, the less they have to sell you, the less money it costs them. So if they could do it with half, if half as much of the med killed it, they would just make that the dose so that it costs them half as much. Right? So if erythromycin, let's say it's, I don't know what it costs, but let's say you're buying a pallet of it and it's $30,000. Well, if all of a sudden you could treat the bacteria with half as much, they double the amount of money they make. So they're already going to least common denominator. So, and even that, I take it to, dosing like once a week and letting it be. But in general, from my testing, kind of the science of you need at least this much med to kill something, and then when you try it, it has never worked for me of like, I'm just going to dose with half as much. It's like baking a cake. I'm going to put half as much as it calls for. Oh, it tastes terrible. Shocking. And I'm not trying to call you out. I just, I see a lot of people say like, well, I have clown loaches and therefore they're a sensitive fish, so I'm only going to dose lightly. It's like that, but it takes X amount to actually kill the bacteria or the parasite or that kind of stuff. So it doesn't make sense in my mind, and it hasn't made sense in practice, because sometimes my brain can't comprehend it. So I try it, and then I'm like, yep, I don't understand why, but that works. This is one of those ones where it's like, I don't know. And I realized that I misread it, so I'll apologize, because I'm not above apologizing. Said, should I do half? No, I don't recommend doing half. I missed the word should, so I apologize. But no, on all the puffers that I ever get in, well, not even just the puffer, every fish that we ever get in, they get the med trio. The only thing you can do to alleviate the effects is to space out the treatment. So you could do like just like maybe the day it lands, you do Maricin, right? So antibiotic. And then you watch them like a hawk, and they're looking really good tomorrow, and you go, okay, I'm just going to let that Maricin do its thing. Then on day 3, maybe you go, I'm going to do a partial water change, and now I'm going to dose the ICX just to get rid of any gill flukes or anything I can't physically see. And ick never broke out, so I'm just going to do that. You let that go for a couple days. Then you change more water, and you do nothing for like 2 weeks. Then hit them with Paracleanse to clean out their gut. Let that go for like a week. Then do nothing again for 2 weeks. Then treat them with the General Cure again to get all the eggs that we couldn't attack the first time. That's the least stressful way you could do it, but you got to have a real keen eye. Because if you miss a fungus or you miss a like ick or a parasite like that, not getting the Maricin and the ICX together to treat a fungus, you're just going to have to use more meds in the long run, which ends up being way more stressful than doing it all at the beginning. And so your average person, it's easier for them just to go, hey, boom, here's the meds, and we'll get through this, as opposed to like making the judgment calls on things. And we're putting out more and more videos and articles and stuff to help people identify disease and help learn and that kind of stuff. And the longer you're in the hobby, the more that'll become a second nature. But yeah, so fully apologize on that, but that is my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Helen says, thanks for being awesome. Well, I say thanks for your $5. Helen, I don't think you're a member yet. This is always my cry. You thought your screen froze, didn't you? If you're going to spend $5 and you're not a member yet, become a member, because then you at least get extra pictures and crap to look at. Like, and then you can just, in the members thing, when I post a picture of like, I don't know, when I post this picture yesterday, you can be like, hey, Corey, thanks for being awesome. I became a member instead of super chatting. And I'll be like, yes, yes. They became a member instead of being super chat, which sometimes people come back and like, it's not, membership's not in my country. And I'm like, oh, dang it, YouTube sucks. But for the most part, I want you guys to always get maximum value. And I promise you, I'm investing a lot of energy and resources into maximizing membership value. That will, like, in conjunction, it's going to maximize not being a member too. Like, your guys are just going to get a lot more stuff. But I'm trying to find like every advantage I could give a member that no one could complain about. You know, it's like, because they're a member, they got a free curly fry and their French fries. They didn't order curly fries. Like, we're going to accidentally give you a curly fry. Like, no one can really complain, because sometimes you got a curly fry and your French fries too, but everyone's going, sweet, I got a curly fry. Could have ordered it, but I wasn't paying that extra 40 cents. I want that free curly fry. You just might more likely get a free curly fry if you're a member. That's all I'm saying. Could you spend a minute talking about the king guppy gene? I got some, and I find that trait fascinating. I don't know anything about the king guppy gene. I'm going to look it up right now, because me not knowing, that could not be. King guppy gene. King koi gene. I can see lots of listings for that. I think I'm going to need you to leave me a comment somewhere on YouTube that talks about the king koi gene, because I don't know about it. Unless you mean the king koi gene, which I could Google that and look it up myself. But no, I'm fascinated by that. And like, Dean's got this guppy he hates that I'm fascinated by. He's only got a pair of them that I'm totally going to play with. I don't know if people are going to like them, but I like them. And that's all that matters. Who knew I just had to tell people they were going to get the secret curly fry and they become members? That's going to be the motto to YouTube. I found out the best way to a member's heart is through their stomach. Secret curly fry. Oh man, we got to find a way to like have that be a thing in the membership, like team curly fry or secret curly fry. Keep that on the down low. Well, thank you guys for becoming members. That's funny. Here we go. Just learned to super chat. Where should I get a puffer fish online? Thanks for all the great stuff, Corey. You got me back in the hobby. Dang it, Bobby. If I was looking for puffers online right now, my search would start at the wet spot. Now, be very careful in how you search for that, because you could probably get some stuff you don't want to see. But there is a store called the Wet Spot. They do ship fish. And right now, the selection is probably terrible because of COVID. But that's where I've sourced a lot of my puffers. We get to order from them wholesale, but I would look there. And now, depending on what puffer you're looking for, if it's just like pea puffers, you can go to aquahuna.com, one of the people we have an affiliate with. And if you buy some pea puffers there, I'm going to get some free curly fries. I guess legally I have to say I'm going to get money. And then I'm going to use that money to buy curly fries. But if it's something more advanced like that, the Wet Spot Tropical Fish is a good source. Aquabit is also another good source. But you kind of gotta, if you're looking for a rare one, you gotta be looking throughout the entire internet. It's not like a easy to use or easy to find thing if you're looking for the rare ones. Oh, Candy says, I heard a little birdie told me the Anubias Nana was exceptional. All right, we're going to have a run on the Anubias Nana, but yes. I got to be honest. I'm letting out my trade secret here. A lot of our plants are kind of awesome. Things like Anubias and like Java ferns, before I even finish this, realize that if you get a standard sized plant, don't be angry. All right? But for the most part, because of COVID, and there's so few flights coming into the US, a lot less plants are coming in, which means the farms have a lot of plants sitting around just getting bigger. So that means when you order that Anubias Nana that normally comes with 6 leaves, you're like, this thing's got 17 leaves and a curly fry, right? Now, you got to get while the getting's good because we order from different vendors. And so like Anubias Nana, we'll get from 3 different vendors, and maybe 2 out of the 3 have curly fry hidden Anubias Nana pots. And then you've got one that like, it's just a standard one. But don't, while odds are good, I don't want to create a situation where you guys are like, there was no curly fries in the bag. This is an outrage, right? Because otherwise, when that kind of stuff happens, then I just have to keep my mouth shut. Like, don't tell people things are awesome, because when someone gets one, they manage to order Anubias caffifolia was normal size. That guy said all his Anubias. Like, okay, 5 out of 6 were like mind-blowingly amazing, and then the other one was just normal, right? So just know that, that little birdie stuff, it is super sweet, and you should take advantage of it, but please don't hold us against it when it's like, I got one that was just normal. I heard there's free curly fries. Apparently I don't get it. Like, well, hopefully you'll order a swath and you'll be like, these 3 were amazing. Or everyone just went bonkers right now and we're going to sell out, and then you're going to order and get it like on Friday and you'll be like, it's all normal. But I got to be honest, even our normal is awesome, because I spent all my time. My whole goal in my career is 3 years ago, awesome was down here. And as we make more money and we do more things, the awesome bar just keeps rising. So if this was awesome and this was acceptable, acceptable is now up here to us. So there's a lot of stuff that does not fly, because we can go, if we order $10,000 worth of plants from a vendor and they screw up, we get to call them and go, hey, you're screwing up. You do that again, we're going to find someone else. They go, whoa, we won't screw up anymore. So we get to raise our standards, which is they raise the bar, we raise the bar, and you guys on average just get better stuff. Yeah, we put time and effort into packaging and developing those types of things too, because it doesn't do us any good to get the perfect plant and then treat it crappy and send it out. We got to, that's only half the battle. So, but yes, in general, the plants have been looking pretty sweet because the farms are backed up with lots of plants, which is good. But now we're actually starting to run into a problem now where some of the stuff they're running out of, because now it's been long enough. So typically farms work on a 3 to 6 month lead time. Most plants are 3 months, where Java fern would be more like 6. Now that COVID's been going on long enough, they stopped planting, let's say 1 month into COVID, because they're like, sales are slowing down. So now we're actually going to hit a lull of you'll have stuff that's amazingly good, and then the answer is going to be, we don't have any. So get while the getting's good, then we're going to sit at 0 for a while, and then it's going to come back to normal. So just know that if you're looking at the line, normal, insanely good, nothing, and then it's going to come back to normal. That's what's going to happen with the plants. Weldon's tanks. Want to say thanks again for the air pump. Fish room is up and running. The best paired with your sponge filters. So yes, we sent Weldon Aquatics, or I don't know why I keep saying Weldon. Was it Weldon Aquatics before? What was it before? I don't know. But anyway, Weldon's tanks. We sent him a linear air piston pump. I believe we sent him one that had a dinged box. So we don't even sell a dinged box. So by the way, that's another credit. If you ever get a dinged box from us, 100% I promise you it did not leave our warehouse like that. So if we get a light or something that comes in from Fluval, which I've got some in my fish room right now. I'm going to set up where the box got crunched a little bit. We don't even send that out because we don't want someone going, oh, you sent me a bad thing. Like, then we have 100% truthful. We can be like, that happened in shipping. We'll still honor a warranty and all of that. But then we have these other products where it's like literally like a dented box. And so we find influencers and other, I just like to set up a fish room. And so I want to send him one. He made a video about it, and that's obviously good for us. That's like some advertising and all of that. But I appreciate the $10, man. I'm sure we'll find some other stuff to send your way in the future and that kind of stuff. It's, as a company, as we ascend, more of my attention is getting like philanthropy and helping others and that kind of stuff. And not that we didn't have that also, but I want to make sure that Corey's time isn't dominated by like the plant farms are out of plants. What do we do? Like, and then we never do anything else. So I have to like have people help me make sure like, you haven't done that in a while. Oh yeah, you're right. I better do that. I'm having trouble getting plants in my location. Can I add Easy Green to a new tank a bit ahead of planting? Will it help with the cycle? Maybe in a roundabout way. If you put Easy Green into a tank, you're just going to put nutrients in and you'll start growing algae. Now, me personally, I actually love to have an algae-filled tank when I'm cycling a tank because then I've got first food for fish to eat. I know that algae will consume nitrogen, which is what fish are going to poop out, and urea out, pee out. And then when I plant it up and everything, usually with my skill set, the plants will win the war and the algae will recede and everything's good. Now, if you're brand new to it, you could be like, I started an algae farm, I put plants in there, I didn't know what I was doing, and the algae farm won. That sucked. That could happen too. But that's why it's like, well, kind of. In general, I'm not afraid to see algae crop up in a brand new tank. I like that. I like to see algae or plant growth before I add fish. And that's what I want to see in here. I want to put plants in. What's going to happen is I'm going to put a bunch of plants in. I'm going to watch them melt back a little bit. Then I'm going to watch them start to grow. Then I can put fish in. That's the way I like to do my stuff. And it takes time, but I'm a patient man. I got time. I got years to watch fish swim around in a glass box. You never talked about the improved 2020 Zis filter, the one with the extendable tube. It's not that great? No, it sucks. It's super loud, and the media, it took more air to move it. And in our testing, it wasn't good. And in general, what we run into is, and I'm guilty of that a bit, but I find that I'm okay with it normally. But people take a lot of pride in their products. And when you take a product and you're like, let's say you have this sticker, and now you make version 2.0 of the sticker, and you, the inventor, are convinced this thing's way better. And then Corey comes along and he goes, but it takes more air and it's louder. That's worse. Like, I know my clientele, and they're not going to want a Zis filter to get louder because that's the main complaint that is there. Is like, I can kind of hear it, so they're not going to want it to be louder. And then to take a stronger air pump, that's worse also. And then they'll be like, yeah, but it's got benefit X, Y, and Z. Like, well, yes, like it doesn't have to be suction cupped to the side anymore. That is a benefit. It's small enough to fit in a 10-gallon. That is a benefit. But you needed those two benefits alongside with not getting louder and not taking more air. And so a lot of times they're like, well, we're just going to run with this design, and we'll get the feedback like, well, India loves it. Cool, great. That's great. Except I only like to endorse products I think are actually good and better. And so for me personally, and this is how I make a lot of decisions, if I was going to pull a product off the shelf and I needed to be a moving bed filter like that, I would take the current Zis filter we have and not the new iterations of it because I feel like they are worse than the current one we have. And I'm a big proponent of like voting with your dollars, right? And so if you don't like what we do, don't buy from us. And if they're going in the wrong direction, I'm like, I really think you should go in this direction. They don't go in that direction. Then I go, okay, well, we'll buy this one. And if you make it better, we'll buy that one. But right now, we're going to keep buying this one. So, and we run into that with quite a few things. Like Phoenix is a great example of this. With our company, we still sell the Phoenix Stingray. It's like one of their oldest, I think it might be the oldest light they still have in production. It is a great light That thing is literally like the year 2000 Toyota Camry. That thing is awesome. Like, it's gonna run forever. It was right priced. It's a great family car. Like, this light is amazing. And yes, is there the Stingray 2.0? Yep. Is it like 50% more expensive? Yep. Is it awesome? I mean, it's got a remote control that I don't need because I run it on Wi-Fi timers and stuff. But they've released, every year they release 1 to 2 more lights that are better. And I review them and I look at them and I compare them and I go, they're not better, they're just more expensive. It's like, you got the Toyota Camry and we keep comparing it to the Lexus. They're made on the same body. Like, you're just putting a higher price tag for like the same thing. And so I tend to shy away from bringing on the new product unless it's like an actual tangible better thing. Like with Fluval, they went from the 2.0 to 3.0. Part of it is they tied my hands and they were no longer going to make the 2.0. So that did tie my hands. However, the biggest thing people were asking for was the ability to program it and control it with Wi-Fi without having to use the extra controller. And I believe that going from the 2.0 to the 3.0 was a good upgrade because it didn't get more expensive originally. Like, the tariff changed that. But originally it was the same price. You got more features and you got an $80 module you had to buy before included. That seemed like a win-win-win for everyone on that. And so unless we're getting something better than we already have, I don't want to carry just more products. So, because what happens is Candy just gets slammed like, well, you're carrying 7 Zis filters. Which one's the right one for my application? And what's the pros and cons of each? And it's like, well, really, and because most times I run our business where it's like, I'm just going to pick what I think is the best. And then I'll carry a few other, like I think, I don't have it with me, but I think Fritz Complete is the best because I can put a pump head on it. And I think a member asked me, do you not like Prime? No, Prime, it's like the same product. It's very close to the same chemical makeup. Prime doesn't come with a pump head. And their bottles don't fit my pump heads, so that's why I like Complete better. As simple as that. Now, if someone's got 10 gallons of Prime for me, guess what? It's free Prime. I'll use free Prime. It's the same crap. But if I'm buying it, why wouldn't I buy the one that's got a pump head that makes my life easier? And then that's what I would recommend you guys. Like, if it's this bottle's $8 and this bottle's $8. One's got a pump head, one doesn't. They're basically the same thing. Here, take the one with the pump head. That's what I'll recommend. All right. I feel I was getting a little ranty there. I got to tone it down. Tone it down. Taco season curly fries. You know what I need? I need someone at my local Jack in the Box to be a fan. And even though I only order like once every 6 weeks, the mini tacos they have, I need them to sneak a curly fry into that box. That would be like the ultimate, like, I don't know how to explain it. When like I would lose my mind. Like, oh my God, someone was watching. There's a curly. Even if it was by coincidence, it would probably change my life. Of like, oh my God, even people at Jack in the Box watched one of my videos. So I actually need to hope that it's not an accident, because that will change the course of my life when a curly fry sneaks its way into a package of tacos. What do I recommend for a 20-gallon/80-liter setup? I already have a gourami and a small polypterus Senegal bicher. Well, I feel like the fish police when I'm always like, just so you know, the Senegal bicher is probably going to outgrow that 20-gallon long term. That being said, what would I put with those guys? I'd probably go with, if it was me right now, like what's Corey jonesing about? We brought in some really cool longfin rosy barbs that I don't have in my possession, but I really want them because they looked awesome in the bag. Some longfin rosy barbs would look great in that tank. They'd be big enough to not become prey to that bicher long term. Well, most tetras would be. Like, just don't get skinny body tetras, you'll be fine. But I think they'd look really cool, and that's what I like. My pink crypt fully melted. Any ETA on new ones? The ETA will be as soon as we can. We're trying to order them every week. Yeah. But even if they fully melted, you should have roots, and the roots should come back. So, like, just don't move it. Let it do its thing. But yes, crypts are notorious for melting, and pink flamingos. Wait, yeah, it was pink crypt. They're just expensive, so it probably hurts more. But in general, when you buy plants, you're buying roots essentially, and when it comes to crypts, you're buying roots, and they usually come back. So give it some time and sing to it a little bit. But in in an optimal situation, we will have more next week. In a real life situation, I have no idea. Fluval should do some of its manufacturing in the U.S. to avoid tariffs to help with pricing. So, in my experience, when you look into that, the price would go up because just U.S. labor wages are so much more expensive that you'd think you would save money from the tariff, but it would just cost more. And then you have you'd have to set up a facility, and you have the rent of the building and all of that, and it's a tricky situation because just in general, we as consumers, like in my whole life basically, we're used to getting products from other countries, and their labor rates tend to be cheaper. We bring them into America, and they've been selling at a certain rate. When you get a USA only made version of that, it tends to cost a lot more. Now, it's not that some people don't want that, but there's some people that can't afford that. And so over time, I think we could adapt that, but I think it's like a 10, 15, 20 year change, like a progression and not like an on-off switch. But yes, I mean, in general, we personally, we're always looking, can we get this made in America? Like, no one's really doing it. And even still, when COVID hit, we found a lot of vendors who were like, we're US based. And then all of a sudden, we're waiting on parts from China, so, we can't actually do it. It's like, oh, so it's that song and dance. Like, you're assembling in America, but you're not making the stuff in America. That technicality, that's awesome. But, do I hope that we could buy everything we get right now and it be the same price in America? Why not? I wish it was my neighbor. Then I can go, hey, Larry, give me those lights. Quit tripping. Instead of having to say Fluval's tripping, right? But, you do every day. We just go, what can we do today that hopefully moves the needle in the right direction? And if you do that enough times, maybe we'll have, I hope that we find the next best aquarium light. It's 4 years down the road, and we've made some pioneered thing, and we have it made in the U.S. or maybe it's made in, I don't know, Thailand or Taiwan or Vietnam, whoever is going to make it, right? But I want to make the products better, and right now I'm mostly focused on how do I make the industry better. I can't even explain how pissed I am at Universal Rocks. I don't think the way they're running their business, I don't see how it's viable in today's economic climate. I ordered June 5th. They didn't even ship it, I think, until the 17th. That's when I got my shipping thing. It didn't get picked up till the 19th. That lead time for a product that they already have sitting around. So imagine you order this sticker today, and I don't ship it till the 17th of next month. Well, I guess it would be the 12th, right? And then the UPS doesn't actually pick it up until the 19th. And then here you are, at this point, we're 7 days later and you haven't gotten it? You're just like, how is there not someone else that sells this sticker doing a better job? And they used all the excuses in the book of, oh, we had a new person, they forgot to send you an invoice. Oh, we were going to ship it today, but it got too late. Then the next day, oh, it didn't ship. And then that third day, that's when they use the excuse of the new person. Now I've lost the patience to email. I'm like, what's your excuse for 7 days and it's still in Colorado? Yeah. And I get it, because I'm a guy that ships a lot of stuff. And we had a person who had sick fish, and they ordered Ikex from us on a Saturday night. Couldn't ship it Sunday because we can't ship Sunday. But Monday it shipped out. Our website says 2 to 4 days. Where did they live? They lived I don't know, probably doesn't matter, but far enough away, right? And it didn't make it to him until Saturday. And do I feel bad about that? Yep, because that's more than 2 to 4 days. But we shipped it as fast as humanly possible that we could. Like, there's no other service that we have access to that would have actually moved the needle on Sunday. We got it out very timely on Monday morning, and had it landed was so Monday morning. Part of when you're counting is like, so Monday morning, if they pick up at like 4 our time, Tuesday at 4, Wednesday at 4, Thursday at 4, Friday at 4, that'd be, so it arrived 1 day late basically. And I hate missing a deadline, but you know, there's just things going on in the world, COVID and that kind of stuff, that caused some delays and that. I don't even know what we did for the customer. I just saw the complaint come through and I read it and I was like, oh dang. Because we're working on our customer service software. I try to stay away from it because literally I'm talking about right now in a live stream, I'm gonna spend days thinking about how do we make sure that could never happen to that customer again? How could we, the only other thing we could do, we could overnight that, but that'd be like a $50 charge, and that no one's gonna pay that. But in my mind, I end up spending way too much time going, even though that's 1 out of like 3,000 shipments this week, it'll be like, how do we prevent that from ever happening again? Because that's the worst case scenario. Someone had sick fish, and I remember they had Danios, and they died. The Danios died. So I feel super crappy about that. Now, I could be like, well, you know, you should have had medication on hand because that's a responsible thing to do. That doesn't matter. What matters is they didn't get it in time. Those fish died. I'm not putting 100% on us because I don't think it's, well, part of it is USPS is who was shipping it, but we're relying on them, and we have a track record, and we have stats, and we have most likely this is what's going to happen. And, you know, they were like, I should have went and bought it locally. And yes, I do agree. If you have a local pet store, go support them. Most local pet stores don't carry ICX, but yes, there's a reason why you should spend more money at a local pet store to get something faster. I agree. And I feel like I let that person down, and I'm sorry. I don't know what we did for him. For all I know, we didn't do anything. I don't know. I'm out of the loop. But, you know, just because we didn't do something doesn't mean I can't feel bad about it. Like, how do we fix, you know? And the reality is, like, every shipping service is getting worse. They have less staff available. They have, like, shipping in general went like this. COVID hit. People don't shop in person anymore. They didn't stop shopping. Now they shop online. So all of a sudden, UPS trucking along, COVID hits, wham! Now that's how many packages are going through, and they can't hire fast enough, and they're losing people to illness and all that kind of stuff. And so on one hand, it's like, oh, what do you do? I don't know. But I'm gonna put my brain on it. I wonder if there's a way we can get through this. Like, how do we fix this and it can never happen again? You know, I feel bad about it. What do I think about a UV sterilizer on a 220-gallon discus tank? Water's good except for the hardness. Yeah, I'm a fan of UV sterilizers in general. As long as you remember to turn them off when you use meds, I think it's a good thing. Whatever happened to the rocks I ordered? What rocks did I order? Are we talking about the universal rock stuff? I just got done ranting about that, about how it's not here yet. If that's what we're talking about, like, yes, still raging on that. If it's some other rocks, my brain is just not, like, the filing system, it must be in the back of the drawer. I can't recall what rocks. Could have rocks on the way. That happens all the time. Oh yeah, I started that project. Cool. All right. High flow plants that can handle low light. High flow, low light. I would say Java Fern, Anubias, Crypspiralis, which we don't sell anymore. Vallisneria does pretty well. A lot of times you want to get it to root, then you can really crank it up, but at the beginning, like, you plant it, and if the flow's too high, it just lifts off. What else do I like in high flow? I do this like mental thing where I close my eyes, like, what tanks do I have where I remember the plants just like flowing through? Nothing floating for sure. Well-established crypts do well, but again, you almost have to like turn it down, let them grow, and then crank it up. Is it okay to clean and reseal and reuse a saltwater tank for fresh? Yeah. Yes, it is. I don't know of any reason not to. My Nubius died shortly after I got it from you. Was stuck in shipping for a week. What do? You contact customer service and we'll ship you out another one. Easy as that. Well, there's one more step technically. You got to take a picture of it, just so we don't have the whole internet go like, yeah, we had a plant to die. Send us one for free. Like we at least like, okay, snap a picture. You know, because sometimes we find like your tank's on fire. It melted because it's on fire. Like, but that's 1 out of 100. It's like we always want to make sure the one we ship out again is going to be suitable to land. Or like you might live in Arizona. It's like, well, it's 110. It's probably just going to melt again. How about we just give your money back and then in like 3 or 4 months order again, and it won't be 110 and we won't have a problem. But we are working on that too. Even if you live in Arizona right now and it's 100 billion degrees, we're just waiting for our software to finish the QA QC check so we can automatically add heat resistant liners to shipments going to places over the temperature threshold that we want to do that on. Right now it's a manual check and we just don't have the manpower to do the manual check, and so that's where we're at. Do I have any new videos coming out that I can look forward to? No. My videos aren't worth looking forward to. Now when I'm stuck inside, I mean, there are videos coming out, but they're pretty much all talking head. Like, hey, I'm Curry. I'm going to talk about something. Here's a video on that. Hope I get to travel soon. That's pretty much what those videos boil down to until I can go visit some fish rooms, travel around. Even right now, like, basically what happened is I made a bunch of videos, like, okay, people are just going to have to get my talking head videos. This sucks, COVID, what are you going to do? I'll do this whole 800-gallon rescape. We'll do all the things, but Universal Rock's screwing that up for us. So now there's just going to be like, yep, I hope you like talking heads. We're eating top ramen for weeks now. We're just going to keep eating top ramen. It's all we got. Unfortunately, just keep eating that top ramen. I'm sorry. And I'll try to be lively on the live stream, hang out with you guys, and we'll get through it, you know. My passion really comes when I get to learn. I get to learn about something. I get to go see something. I get to share it with you guys. I get excited about people are going to love this. I've never seen that. They've probably never seen that. It's going to be amazing. But when I'm just teaching, it's like, well, you could probably Google this, and it's useful if you're new. But, you know, if you've been around, if you're a crusty old fish nerd like me, you're looking for that thing you haven't seen before, and you've seen everything in my fish room. So I got to leave my fish room to be able to do that. And so that's where I'm cynical when I'm like, there's nothing to look forward to because it's all my crap. But there's just nothing I'm super jazzed about right now. That doesn't mean I won't think of that idea tomorrow, or that like everything lands tomorrow. We build 800 gallon, looks amazing. You at least get a video out of that. We're trying. But you know, I think we're gonna. I think this is true for most of YouTube. The quality of YouTube right now, like for the month of June compared to like last June, is way different. Just because everyone's stuck inside, you can't travel. Like you got to ratchet down. Just like fall TV is gonna kind of suck because everything had to be shot on location. So now all of a sudden you got to do a whole series where you're like, we can't leave this town. We're in quarantine. All right. Whoa. I ordered my flamingo all the way to Calexico, California. Is that a thing? Am I saying that? Calexico. All right. Take your word for it. California. They crossed with it to Mexico at over 110 degrees, and they survived. Whew. Yes. Thanks for packing them so well. We try everything we can, but, you know, I think someone emailed us today or yesterday where they're like, oh, I let it sit in my mailbox for like an extra day. Sitting in a mailbox is like letting it sit in an oven. That thing's just going to melt stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure we're going to help them as best we can. Well, it was a crinum, I think. It was a crinum that did that. And we kind of look at it and we just know that, like, we have two options. Don't sell plants during the summer, or when a problem arises, replace it, and hopefully our customers are understanding. Like there's, you know, in the winter, it's like stuff could freeze to death. There's almost never a good time to be moving live stuff around the world. So we do the best we can, and we just go, well, take it one day at a time, one customer at a time, one plant at a time. Madagascar lace plants do well in high flow. That's true. It's just crazy hard to get Madagascar lace plants. But yes, that is a good one. Corey, maybe there's a way to implement a shipping or a shipment concerned or shipping alert option for the customer to submit or interact that gives your store a heads up if the shipment is to delay. The problem is there's no real-time feedback. So for instance, like for the last 3 months, USPS has had a stance that says expect lots of delays with shipping. We don't guarantee anything. But over 10,000 shipments, we look at it and they're like, oh, the delays were 26 of them. So we could put up a warning that says, like, in the event that this is a train wreck, it's not our fault. And then when you are the one that gets the train wreck in the mail and we go, sorry, we had a notice, and you just stop buying from us because we're horrible people, we lose. And then there's all the people like, oh, really delayed? I just won't order anything. Okay, well, now I don't have enough money to pay my employees. Or the option we chose is like, let's go by data. Data shows very few packages are actually being delayed. When that happens, let's just take care of the customer and do the best we can do. And I mean, I'm sure there's some corner case where we've left someone hanging or they felt like we've wronged them because it's impossible. Like I want to bring in the nicest way possible. Someone was irritated. We sent them a free sticker. And then they wanted to make sure they never happen again, you know. So it's even when you're like, I'm just trying to give you stuff. Like even that could anger people. So there's always a chance to disappoint someone. But in general, our model or our motto is like just make people happy. You know, like if I was ordering something and it was if I'm ordering from Universal Rocks and it's incredibly delayed, and I know it's causing a hardship. I don't want to say I expect compensation, but I expect like an apology of like, if they had been truthful from the beginning and been like, hey, we're going to delay shipping this by 3 days. Oh, and then we submit it, but they probably won't pick up for another 2 days. I wouldn't have Dean ask me every day, like, did it land today? We need to work on that. Like, I've got plans. I know it's not here, Dean. Same thing. Like, we just look at it and go, oh, all right, I'm sorry. What can we do for you? We'll ship out another one. Would you like a refund? We realize we're in the wrong. What's an amicable way we can make this right? And with Universal Rocks, I don't know what the answer is, right? I'm just a hobbyist trying to buy some of their crap, and I don't want them to give me everything for free because they did work. I want them to acknowledge this wasn't a great transaction, and maybe they go, oh, we got a discount on your next order, or how about we refund part of the shipping, or how about we just acknowledge that this has not been a good experience? And I go, hey, oh, you're gonna make an active effort to try not to do this to other people. That's probably win enough for me. You know, one of the biggest things we can do is in customer service, you just ask, what's the outcome you'd like? That's the easiest way to cut through everything. What is the outcome you're looking here? You emailed us. Is it a replacement? Is it a refund? Is it, you know, what do you need here? And we'll see if we can accommodate that. Because it's one thing if we just go, we've done it in the past where it's like, well, just give them their money back. Oh, you're just going to give me my money back and not even give me the plant. Well, no, we thought you wanted your money back. Oh, you're just going to ship me a plant so it can die again. Well, no, we know that some people don't want money. So now we always ask, like, what would you like us to do? Would you like us to ship a plant? Would you like us to give your money back? What would you like to have? Would you like a gift card? Whatever you want, we're going to try and do for you. You know, but if it's like, well, my plant died, you owe me a $200 light. Like, well, we got to draw the line somewhere. Like, that's a little crazy. We're not doing that, right? But we try to just be level-headed. Tacos for you and Candy. She helped me with some shipping issues. I told her I'd buy you and her some tacos. Well, thank you very much. Desert Fish Hobbyist, if you're not a member, next time there's a shipping snafu and you want to buy us tacos, become a member and you'll get some benefits out of it. That's my... I really wish YouTube... I'm going to hit them up on that again. I would love there to be a button where I could click a button and Desert Fish Hobbyist gets 2 months membership and he still got to ask his question. That is like a home run grand slam for them. Let me go, give them the benefit. And I'm sure they're just going, yeah, but then they're not going to spend $5. Like, okay. But I really think that would be a great thing. Let me give you like the extra thing. Because I realize that the super chat's a good way to ask questions and show appreciation. Membership is a great way to show appreciation also, but it doesn't get you necessarily that question's got to be answered right now go to it. All right. How's it going tonight? It's going good, Mean Mug Aquatics. I don't know, I'm starting to get a little hungry, which is translating to hangry apparently. When I get hungry and I'm ranting, nobody can live through that. Got my linear air piston pump and setting it up in my basement fish room. 1 year ago, I had no idea how to keep a betta. Ooh, thanks for sharing the fish knowledge. Well, hopefully it's the start of your beautiful fish keeping career. Whoa, everything's funneling in. Guppy Guru, thanks Corey for sharing my video, means a lot. Yes, if you're looking for a little more info and a clever way on how to hang your brine shrimp hatcher, if you got one of those, check out Guppy Guru's video. I like the style. I haven't been watching for that long, but I like that video, and it's in my to-do list of like, keep tabs on that guy. Feels like I get the vibe. I watch some content, and I kind of sit there and I go, is this wholesome? Do I feel good about this? Do I feel like their intentions are trying to help people? Because people are always like, that guy's trying to make money, that guy's trying to do a thing. Look, we're all trying to make sure we don't live in a cardboard box. But do I think they're trying to do a good thing? That's what I try to focus on. Like, do I think they're trying to do a good thing? I do. I do think he's trying to do a good thing. Even when people are doing a wrong thing, you can see the intentions. Like, they're trying real hard. Even though it's wrong, they're trying real hard to do the right thing. I can get behind that. All right. Ooh, by the way, before I forget, it is KG Tropical or John's birthday today. I wished him a happy birthday earlier, but, you know, just want to say happy birthday because it's his birthday. Henry Chavez coming in with the city name is from being on the border of California and Mexico. So, Calexico. The city where I live in Mexico is called Mexicali and is also a play on words, Mexico, California, the border sister cities. All right. Henry, here's what I want to know. Don't super chat me because I don't want you to pay money to answer this. I just want to know if I find myself in Calexico and I could drive across the border to Mexico, can you take me to try and collect like platies or goodeids or anything like that in Mexico? You got any sources of local fish that are cool to look at? Or is it just going to be like, check it out, it's a sunfish? I mean, not that sunfish aren't cool, but I'm a library nerd. I'm always looking for who could I call on when I got a feeling I'm going to be down in California. I'd love to go do something. What are my top picks for stocking a planted 125? Plant-wise? All crips all day. All the crips. Crip. Or one of mine that I'm going to do is going to be all Vallisneria. If it's fish-wise, I don't know. My brain is too tired to put a handle on that. How long have I been live? Over 2 hours? Ain't got no time for that. I'm sure I've got people waiting on me. I'm going to keep answering some stuff, and I'm going to get some food, and I'm going to go back to work. Oh, no. Could someone gift that tongue twister I just did? Oh, no. Jimmy. Isn't that your job, Jimmy? Are you just not proficient in gifts? Maybe that's your new legacy. Gift master. What are some other uses for airline tubing? I've used it to tie down my trunk when transporting things. I've used it for transporting aquarium stands, and I didn't have ropes, so we tied down the customer's thing with airline tubing. You could make a really crappy jump rope, probably. What else could you do with it? You can make a feeding ring out of it. It would technically float as long as you trap in the air. What else can you do with it? I don't know. Dean's right now, he's smashing his head against the desk going, there's 73 uses for airline tubing. Oh! I'll have to hear, well, I say that like it's detrimental, but I'll get to hear all about it next time we hang out. You know, I was listening to that, and you should have told them about it. I'm like, oh, your wisdom, Dean. Dang it. Any suggestions to address burnout in the hobby? I was just talking to someone about that earlier today, and my advice is just like get rid of a lot of it. Give your fish back to the store, like just pare down, ignore it. Like take the summer off if you can, right? So if you don't have like, oh, I've been growing these zebra plecos for 3 years and I got to keep them going. If you got nothing like that's like a long-term project, pare down and just like get away from it. Don't watch me on YouTube. Don't watch the videos. And then like set a reminder in your calendar for like October 1st. Have it pop up and be like, are you ready to get back into aquariums? And you go watch some videos and see if your passion is ignited. If it's not, take another 3 months off. But usually getting some distance away from it, you start wanting it again, and you might find like, oh, there's a fish I just saw that I think's really cool. And your tanks will be like kind of empty-ish, and you're like, well, I could buy that fish. I could get back into this. I find that's the best way to reinvigorate it. For me personally, it was to stop traveling and to get Dean to kick my butt. You know, when Dean comes over. So if Dean comes over and he helps work for like 4 hours on something, I will work for 12 hours in the fish room though, because I'm working before he gets here, I'm working after he gets here. So having a partner in the fish room or someone to talk to really amps up what I do in the fish room. So that maybe that's an option for you, finding like a fish buddy. But burnout, it's like with anything. I mean, eat Reese's all week long, you'll burn out. You'll be eating Snickers next week, and then you eat Snickers long enough, I need Reese's, right? And then eventually you got to get Cheetos. So I think a lot of people will look at burnout and they go, oh, that's such a bad thing. I mean, it's kind of like, what if you work the same job for 10 years and one day you're like, I'm tired of doing this job. I'm going to go do something else. 5 years later, you might be like, I'm ready to go do that job again. I like doing that job. I just did it for so long, I forgot how much I loved it. That's what I think will happen with me and YouTube and that kind of stuff. Eventually, there'll be a point where like, I need a break. You take a break for 6 months or a year, and you come back and you're like, whew, I'm on it. Puppies are on it. Isn't that right, Tinky? Come here. Are you eating my crumbs? Come here. Oh. She always lays down. Come here, you're all wrapped up. You're all wrapped up.
You torturing her?
She just is laying down so much. There.
Are you still alive?
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask you to help me bring stuff in.
Oh, my wife just got back from buying stuff, and I have to help her carry stuff in, so.
I want you to help me get the barbecue ready.
And I gotta get the barbecue ready. Isn't that right, Tinky? We're gonna answer these last few things, and then literally I've run out of time. I've gone as long as I can because now, just like last week, there's someone in the other room that needs my attention, and there's Wincy right at the lower part of the screen. Oh, she's running away. All right. Don't know about catching, but we can see the super rare desert pupfish in their protected ponds. That'd be kind of cool. Here, I gotta turn you into a parrot dog. Oh, parrot dog. Parrot dog, you gotta sit right here. Be a parrot dog. Just don't jump. That would be horrible. You've never jumped before, but if you did that on camera, that would not go well. I'd be like a puppy abuser or something. Don't kiss me either. All right. I'm setting up a 29-gallon tall. Do you recommend modular CO2 regulator? What is the best placement of hang-on-back, sponge filter, and air stones to have good flow for fishes and CO2 diffusion? Oh, your nails are digging into my chest. You're the worst parrot dog. You gotta lay there. There you go. I would say like a sponge filter in a corner, hang-on-back in the center, and you said an air stone maybe on the other corner. For CO2 diffusion, you could run like a CO2 diffuser, or I'm kind of lazy. I like to run it to the intake of the hang-on back, and it just kind of shreds the impeller or shreds the bubble up. All right, you got to come down because you're getting antsy now. Ooh. All right, we got to say goodbye, Tinky. We got to say goodbye because we got people waiting. All right, well, thanks for hanging out. It's been over a couple hours. I'll try to be back next week, and I'll find more time in the schedule to do dances with Tinky. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. You can tell she loves this. She'll go to sleep if I just keep petting. Oh, now you're relaxing us, huh? You ready to relax? So yes, please buy all of our stuff so I can buy more treats for Tinky. She lives a hard life of searching for the crumbs that I drop on the ground and then waiting for treats and pooping in my yard so we can clean it up. But if you buy all our stuff, I can try to make shipping better, help more people, and feed more puppies. Okay, you gotta go down. I gotta actually end the live stream. Goodbye, Tinky. All right, thanks. Seriously, though, thanks. And we'll do the best we can. We'll see you next week. Watch all of our videos. And until Sunday, I guess that's it. And hashtag flew all tripping, Universal Rocks tripping, and YouTube's tripping today. I gotta go get a barbecue ready. Hopefully burgers? I think it is. Bye-bye.